Chapter 1290. Opening his eyes, Lin Tian frowned. As the scene of the sealed dust ancient region suddenly appeared in his mind, he suddenly felt a sense of uneasiness. The sealed dust ancient region, he muttered to himself as a ray of light intertwined in his eyes. At the mention of the sealed dust ancient region, he instantly thought of another name, the Netherworld race. What's going on? He frowned again. When he was comprehending the Tao in seclusion, the scene of the sealed dust ancient region suddenly appeared in his mind, and it made him feel uneasy. He couldn't help but be concerned. He frowned and thought, could the Netherworld race in the sealed dust ancient region be a threat to him? Logically speaking, it was impossible. The passage leading to here had been sealed countless years ago, and the heavenly venerables there couldn't break it. Moreover, the ancient road that the Netherworld race had been excavating had been destroyed by him. This race shouldn't be able to come over from that side, and they shouldn't be a threat to him. However, why would such a scene suddenly appear in his mind? He sat quietly in the Immortal Emperor Pagoda and seriously thought, but he still couldn't think of anything. He muttered to himself. When one's cultivation reached such a high level, sometimes they could really understand the profound. The scene of the sealed dust ancient region suddenly appearing in his mind was definitely not that simple. He couldn't understand this matter, so he planned to ask Yin or to make a deduction. He stood up and directly walked out of the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. Soon, he arrived at the heavenly mystery pavilion of the Immortal Court. This was specially set up for the divine mathematician in Yin Yabur. It was an important part of the Immortal Court. Yabur is with Miss Gu and the others. He arrived at the heavenly mystery pavilion. Only the divine mathematician was there, and he told him that Yin Yabur and Gu were together. Yes, Senior, Lin Tian said. He left the heavenly mystery pavilion and soon arrived at a courtyard deep in the Immortal Court. The courtyard was filled with tall, immortal plants and all kinds of immortal herbs. There were immortal butterflies formed by spirit chi fluttering in the air. It was like the Ruotian realm. This was the residence that he specially set up for Lin Shi and Gu. They live here. When he arrived at the courtyard, he happened to see the 6 women in a pavilion in the courtyard. The fragrance of tea floated in the air. Big brother, you've come out. Lin Shi happened to tilt her head and found Lin Tian. She was surprised, and then she looked happy. After her cultivation reached the Emperor realm, Lin Tian would go into seclusion for a very long time, every time. She really missed her elder brother. Yes. Lin Tian stepped forward with a smile. After a year of seclusion, he came to the pavilion and chatted with the women for a long time. Only after an hour had passed did he speak again. He looked at Yinya and said, There's something I need to trouble you with. His words were simple as he told Yinya the reason for his visit. He also told her about the sealed dust ancient region and the Netherworld race. There is another great space in the 9th heaven. There's another Netherworld race. This was the first time they had heard of the sealed dust ancient region and the Netherworld race. Hearing Lin Tian's words, they were all stunned. It was only after dozens of breaths that they finally calmed down. Yin said, I'll give it a try. As soon as she finished speaking, she walked out of the pavilion and stood in the center of the courtyard. She immediately used the divine divination Tao. With the information provided by Lin Tian, she began to deduce the divine divination Tao. As she used the divine divination Tao, in the blink of an eye, the light of the great Tao appeared in this space. The light of the great Tao surged on its own and surrounded her like a guardian spirit, intertwining with a peaceful aura. Yer is so powerful, as expected of an immortal spirit body that is close to the great Tao. Endless Tao light emerged with just a casual move. Ji sighed. Yes. Bai Qiu nodded. The immortal spirit body was known as the darling of the great Tao. It was indeed amazing. Crack! Suddenly, the sky shook and a trace of lightning appeared. Lin Tian looked up and frowned slightly. Yin had deduced something. As a nirvana immortal spirit body and the darling of the great Tao, when she used the divine divination Tao at this time, traces of lightning appeared. Golden divine light surged out of his body. He looked at the traces of lightning in the sky ready to attack at any time. Yin Yip stood in the courtyard, her expression unchanged. A divine mirror floated out of her body. The divine mirror was full of intertwining immortal spirit runes. As soon as it appeared, more Tao light poured out between heaven and earth, almost drowning Yin Yum'er in it. The Tao light was extremely thick. The divine mirror of divination. A light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes. Then he looked at the sky again and found that the streaks of lightning that had appeared before had silently dissipated. As expected of the divine mirror left by the divine ancestor, he said in his heart, this divine mirror was extraordinary. In the courtyard, Yin Yum'er silently deduced. It was not until a full quarter of an hour later that she stopped. How is it? Lin Tian stepped forward and asked. Not so good. Yin Yum'er was usually very peaceful, but at this time, her expression was somewhat serious. The Netherworld race will come from the sealed dust ancient region. There are more than 10 million of them, and there are 11 heavenly venerables. They are preparing to unify the 10 directions celestial domains. Then, she looked at Lin Tian, paused for a moment, and said, the highest order is to suppress the reincarnation bodies. What? There are actually 11 heavenly venerables? They want to attack Big Brother? Lin Shi and the others were shocked. The Netherworld race was going to come from the sealed dust ancient region. There were a total of 11 heavenly venerables leading the charge. More importantly, they were actually targeting Lin Tian. Lin Tian frowned. His uneasiness was not unfounded. The Netherworld race was going to come from the sealed dust ancient region to unify the 10 directions celestial domains. Moreover, the highest order of this race was to suppress him. This was obviously because the heavenly venerables from the Netherworld race saw that he was a reincarnation body and wanted to seize his reincarnation source when he was in the first territory of the Netherworld race. Moreover, he was also shocked by the lineup of this race. There were actually 11 heavenly venerables leading the charge. This was very frightening. The combined power of 11 heavenly venerables. How frightening would that be? He knew that the Netherworld race was very powerful, and he also knew that there were heavenly venerables in this race, but he did not expect there to be so many of them. At the same time, besides feeling surprised, a strand of bewilderment arose in his heart. The path from the sealed dust ancient region to here had clearly been sealed a long time ago, and the ancient path that was excavated that day had been destroyed by him. So how could they possibly charge over here? Could it be that other than the sealed road and the ancient road that was excavated back then, this clan had found other passageways? He frowned, then paused, looked at Yin Yum'er, and asked with concern, are you okay? Previously, when Yin Yum'er was divining, she had attracted a trace of lightning, which surprised him. He did not expect that at that time. Yin Yum'er was actually divining 11 heavenly venerables at the same time. Even though she was the immortal spirit body favored by the great Tao, it was still very dangerous. Although the lightning in the sky disappeared after the Tianji divine mirror appeared, he could not help but be worried. I have the Tianji divine mirror left behind by the ancestor to protect me. It's okay. Yin Yum'er shook her head and said, they will probably come from the sealed dust ancient region in about a year. The exit is located in the western region. As the immortal spirit body favored by the great Tao, she had mastered the Tao of divination. With the help of the Tianji divine mirror left behind by the Tianji ancestor, she had divined many things. At this time, her expression was very solemn. She clearly knew what the Netherworld race's invasion meant. Not only was it a destructive disaster for the countless creatures in the first and ninth heavens, but it was also a great threat to Lin Tian, because the highest order of this race was to capture Lin Tian. Obviously, they wanted to seize the origin of samsara. Okay, I know. Lin Tian nodded. He discussed some matters regarding the Netherworld race with the women before leaving the courtyard. After leaving the courtyard, he went to another place in the depths of the immortal court and directly used the emperor's voice to wake up little Taichu, Bai Ziki, Wuxing Crocodile, Yang Qi, and the others from their seclusion. Then he told them about the invasion of the Netherworld race. What? Bai Ziki, Yang Qi, and the others were shocked. not only because of the sealed dust ancient region and the existence of the Netherworld race, but also because of the strength of the Netherworld race and their imminent invasion. 11 Celestial Venerables? Even Yang Qi, who had always been taciturn, was shocked at this time. 11 Celestial Venerables. What kind of shock was this? Appalling. This, Fan Xiong's eyes widened. The Five Elements crocodile was naturally shocked by this matter. At the same time, he was also puzzled. Originally, the passageway from the sealed dust ancient region to this place was sealed a long time ago. Back then, when we went to the sealed dust ancient region, the ancient road that this tribe secretly dug was also completely destroyed by you. Now, how can this tribe kill their way here? He was really shocked. They should have found another way. This is what Yabur deduced with the divine mirror of divination, so it can't be wrong. Lin Tiandao. This made Wuxing Crocodile and the others' expressions turn ugly, and they were all incomparably solemn. The Netherworld race was about to invade with an army of more than 10 million, led by 11 Celestial Venerables. This lineup was too terrifying. Don't worry too much. It will take about a year for this race to come here, and we have a year to prepare in advance. In addition, with Yabur here, we can seize the opportunity to fight at any time. Lin Tiandao. He told by Ziki and the others about this matter, and discussed with them for a full day. Then he directly tore open the heavenly barrier, entered the first heaven, and appeared at the foot of the Burning Sun sect, and climbed the stone steps outside the Burning Sun sect. The Netherworld race was about to invade, led by 11 Celestial Venerables. This lineup was really terrifying. He wanted to talk to an old drunkard because an old drunkard was also in the Celestial Venerables realm, and he was definitely not an ordinary one. When little Taichu entered the early Celestial Venerables realm, an old drunkard carved a killing formation that could easily suppress the little guy. Changfeng? He left with Qingxin a month ago, and we don't know where exactly he went. On the Burning Sun sect, Lin Tian couldn't find an old drunkard. The Supreme Elder of the Burning Sun sect told him so. This, Lin Tian frowned. An old drunkard actually left the Burning Sun sect a month ago, and even the Supreme Elder didn't know where he went. Chapter 1291. An old drunkard had actually left the Burning Sun sect with Qing Xian a month ago. Even the Grand Supreme Elder did not know where they had gone. Lin Tian did not expect this. What's the matter? The Grand Supreme Elder asked. A very important matter. Lin Tian nodded. He did not hide anything and simply told the Burning Sun sect's Grand Supreme Elder about the Netherworld race. He asked the Burning Sun sect's Grand Supreme Elder to make all kinds of preparations so that he would not be at a loss when something unexpected happened. After all, the Netherworld race was about to attack this side. This was a very serious matter. The Burning Sun sect's Grand Supreme Elder was visibly moved. He was obviously shocked by this matter. The sealed dust ancient region, the Netherworld race, 11 Empyrean Venerables. For ordinary cultivators, this was really shocking. In the end, Lin Tian bade farewell to the Grand Supreme Elder and left the Burning Sun sect. After leaving the Burning Sun sect, he went to the Valley of the Harp, the Bai family, the Feather sect, the Barbarian race, and other places to inform the higher-ups of these major forces of this matter. Then he returned to the ninth heaven. Buzz! He tore open the void and appeared in a fairyland-like mountain in the eastern region in the next moment. It was the ethereal mountain. He came here to use the special method that Wu Yi had told him to climb the highest mountain to find Wu Yi and the Violet Fairy. The peak of this majestic mountain was intertwined with a faint mist. Spirit fruits and immortal herbs were everywhere. There was a small courtyard in the center. The courtyard was fenced with a fence, and it had an ancient feeling. He came here and saw the Violet Fairy and little AI in the courtyard. He directly told them about this matter. The Netherworld race is going to attack, led by 11 Empyrean Venerables? There's actually such a thing? The Violet Fairy frowned. After you destroyed the ancient road that was being excavated, they found a new path to this side of the world. This was not a small matter. In the Immortal Court, there is an immortal spirit king physique that is proficient in divination. You have seen her before, so she can deduce it. Lin Tian said. He looked around and was a bit puzzled. Where is Wu Yi? He looked around, but didn't see Wu Yi. Master is in seclusion. AI said. Lin Tian's expression changed. Seclusion? How long will it take? 3 to 5 years. In addition, this closed-door cultivation is very important to Wu Yi. During this period of time, you must not disturb her. The violet spirits said. This, Lin Tian frowned. Wu Yi was the most powerful cultivator he knew of. However, he was currently in the most important period of secluded cultivation. He still needed another 3 to 5 years. In other words, when the Netherworld race attacked, Wu Yi would not be able to make a move. This made him somewhat speechless. An old drunkard was exceptionally powerful, yet he had left the Burning Sun sect with Qing Xian. Now no one knew where he was. Wu Yi was unfathomable and seemed to be omnipotent. However, he was now in the most important period of seclusion. These two invincible forces could not be counted on now. The violet spirit said, I will go out with you. It won't be too difficult to deal with first and second level heavenly venerables. Lin Tian was slightly surprised when he heard this. It wouldn't be too difficult to deal with first and second level heavenly venerables. Little Violet, have you already? He was a little surprised. The violet spirit's words meant that she was now at the height of the heavenly venerable realm. The violet spirit looked to be 11 or 12 years old. She looked like a real spirit. Her long hair fell to her waist, and a faint pressure overflowed. Lin Tian was immediately moved. Second level heavenly venerable. Yes. The violet spirit nodded and said, AI will go with us. She has the seal of life and death, which is not inferior to the king physique. In addition, Wu Yi personally taught her the ancient scriptures. Now, there are not many people below the Emperor realm who can stop her. Her combat power is very impressive. Lin Tian nodded. When AI came back from the dead and gave birth to a divine seal like the seal of life and death, it was indeed not weaker than the king's physique. In addition, with Wu Yi, the master of the Misty Mountain, who was unfathomable, teaching her personally, it was naturally not weak and was very powerful. However, he frowned. Wu Yi is in seclusion. If you all leave, will she be left alone in Ethereal Mountain? According to the violet spirit, Wu Yi's seclusion was very important. At least one person should be left behind to guard her. Ethereal Mountain is covered with divine runes. Without the special method that Wu Yi taught you, no one can enter and disturb Wu Yi's seclusion. Even heavenly venerables are no exception. The violet spirit said. Lin Tian was moved. The divine runes intertwined in Ethereal Mountain were so powerful. Even heavenly venerables could not break in. Don't be surprised. Let's go. The violet spirit said with a smile. Or do you miss little Yi after not seeing her for a few years and want to go deeper? She looked at Lin Tian with a very ambiguous expression. Lin Tian was speechless. The violet spirit smiled even more happily. Let's go. There was still a year before the Netherworld race attacked, but she still decided to leave with Lin Tianyi now. She had to return to the Fey King Palace. After all, she was the master of the Fey King Palace. The Netherworld race was about to attack, and this was a very serious matter. She had to return to the Fey King Palace and pass down some powerful spells to mobilize the masters of the Fey King Palace to prepare for what was to come. Okay, Lin Tian nodded. He looked at the deepest part of the mountain. He learned from the violet spirit that Wu Yi was in seclusion there. He silently said in his heart, everything goes well. Then, he left Ethereal Mountain with the violet spirit and AI. I will return to the Fey King Palace first. AI will go with you to the Immortal Court. Outside Ethereal Mountain, the violet spirit said to Lin Tian. Okay. Lin Tian nodded. He parted ways with the violet spirit. After seeing the violet spirit's figure disappear from sight, he left with AI. He didn't return to the Immortal Court directly. Instead, he went somewhere else. Brother Lin, we don't seem to be going to the Immortal Court. AI naturally noticed this and asked Lin Tiandao curiously. Lin Tian nodded. Let's go to the other great sects first. He tore open the void and stepped in with AI. Soon, they arrived outside a vast group of immortal mountains in the northern region. As far as the eye could see, there were numerous palaces within the immortal mountains. There were even floating treasured islands that were filled with dense spirit chi. This place was the establishment of one of the top forces in this region, the purple branding sacred ground. He brought AI into the celestial mountain and came to the outside of the purple burned sacred ground. Immediately, the disciples guarding the sacred ground were shocked and quickly went forward to welcome them. "Greetings, immortal emperor!" The group bowed in unison. This was the emperor-level reincarnation king Physique, the master of the immortal court. He single-handedly suppressed the dark turmoil. How could they dare to be disrespectful? "I want to see your patriarch. Please inform him." Lin Tiandao. The few disciples of the purple burn holy ground nodded their heads as one of them flew into the purple burn holy ground. Not long after, the purple branding patriarch and the other important figures of the sect came out to welcome them. "Immortal Emperor, your presence brings light to my humble dwelling." The purple branding patriarch smiled. Compared to Lin Tian, this person had lived for a long time. However, he was very polite to Lin Tian. This was because Lin Tian was very powerful. In the world of cultivators, powerful strength often determined everything. "May I know why the immortal emperor is here?" one of the grand elders asked. "I have something important to discuss with you." Lin Tiandao. The purple branding patriarch and the others naturally understood. The purple branding patriarch and the other emperor-level grand elders personally led the way. They invited Lin Tian and AI to a secret palace in the depths of the purple branding sacred ground that was filled with strange formation runes. "This place is definitely hidden," the purple branding patriarch said to Lin Tiandao. Lin Tian nodded. He didn't hide anything. He told the emperor-level experts of the sect that the netherworld race was coming and was led by 11 heavenly venerables. Of course, he didn't explain how he knew this would happen a year later. "What? This clan is going to attack us again? Led by 11 heavenly venerables? Wasn't the passageway from that space to this space sealed back then?" The purple branding patriarch and the others were shocked. The purple branding sacred ground was one of the top forces in the 10 Directions heavenly domain. The emperor-level experts of this sect naturally knew about the existence of the sealed dust ancient region and the netherworld race. When they heard the news brought by Lin Tian, they were all shocked. Moreover, they didn't doubt Lin Tian's words. After all, Lin Tian was an emperor-level reincarnation body and the master of the immortal court. It was impossible for him to make up such a lie to deceive them. It was completely meaningless. The experts of this sect frowned deeply. Lin Tiandao said, "There's roughly a year before the netherworld race comes. Everyone, please make all the necessary preparations." The purple branding patriarch and the others came back to their senses. Their expressions were incomparably solemn. Their eyes and brows were filled with worry. The netherworld race's strength was truly too terrifying. Just hearing about 11 heavenly venerables coming together was enough to frighten them. Then, they hurriedly thanked Lin Tiandao seriously. After Lin Tian knew that the netherworld race would come to this world in a year, he personally came to inform them so that they could prepare in advance. This could be said to be a great kindness. This was because after the netherworld race came, they would definitely massacre everyone. As one of the top forces, the purple branding sacred ground could be said to be the first to bear the brunt. Now that Lin Tian had informed them of this matter, they could make all kinds of countermeasures in this 1 year, such as carving divine arts, magic crystals, and emperor-killing array platforms. When the time came, when the netherworld race came, they wouldn't be flustered because of the sudden incident. This could ensure the safety of the purple branding sacred ground to the greatest extent. "Thank you, Immortal Emperor. Thank you," the purple branding patriarch said repeatedly. "You're welcome." Lin Tian shook his head and said, "I'm informing everyone of this matter, not only because I hope that everyone can prepare in advance to ensure the safety of the purple branding sacred ground to the greatest extent, but also because I hope that everyone can think of the other living beings outside the purple branding sacred ground, and think of the territory we're in. When the Netherworld race comes, I hope that everyone can help to kill the enemy while ensuring the safety of the purple branding sacred ground. Protect the other rogue cultivators and the ordinary people who don't have the strength to fight. Protect the integrity of this land that belongs to us. Let's work together and beat the Netherworld race back to the sealed dust ancient region. When the several Emperor-level figures of the purple branding sacred ground heard this, they were all stunned. Their eyes flickered slightly. Chapter 1292. Lin Tian nodded at Old Ancestor Purple Branding. He could see that Old Ancestor Purple Branding's promise was sincere. Then, I'll take my leave first. He bid farewell to Old Ancestor Purple Branding and the others. Purple Totem Grand Ancestor and a few Grand Elders of this branch personally escorted Lin Tian out of the Purple Totem sacred ground. Take care, Immortal Emperor, several people said. Lin Tian nodded and left the purple branding holy land with AI. He then tore through the void and disappeared into the distance. He didn't return to the Immortal Court immediately. Instead, he went to the Legacy Saber Pavilion and other great sects in the Ninth Heaven to inform them of the news that the Netherworld race would be invading in a year's time. He asked the Legacy Saber Pavilion and other great sects in this heaven to prepare for the upcoming battle. After all, the Netherworld race would send too many cultivators in a year's time, and most of them wouldn't be weak. The more people there were, the better. Then, he tore through the heavens barrier and went to the lower heavens. He informed some of the great sects in the lower heavens about the news and asked them to prepare for the upcoming battle. Because the Netherworld race had invaded once before, they must have recorded the history of the Netherworld race. They were very familiar with the situation between the first heaven and the ninth heaven. When they invade in a year's time, they might prepare something like the cross-heaven teleportation station. At that time, they might rely on the cross-heaven teleportation station to send their experts directly from the ninth heaven to the lower heavens. At that time, they might launch a massacre in the lower heavens. Thank you, Immortal Emperor. We are very grateful. 1 year later, we will follow Sir Immortal Emperor into battle. Sir Immortal Emperor, please rest assured. We may not be able to invade the ninth heaven, but if the Netherworld race invades the lower heavens, we will do our best to protect this land. This is also our territory, and we have the obligation to protect it. The old ancestors of the great sects expressed their gratitude and promises. It wasn't until 3 days later that Lin Tian returned to the Immortal Court and summoned by Ziki, Yang Qi, and the others. Disciples of the Immortal Court, gather at the martial arena. He released the Emperor's voice. 9 martial practice fields appeared in the sky above the Immortal Court. There were 8 more than the original one. Each of them was enough to accommodate 1 million cultivators at the same time. He had personally built them a few years ago. Because there were more and more disciples in the Immortal Court, 1 martial practice field was not enough. The 9 training grounds were covered with Tao patterns and array seals. At this moment, the sky was filled with brilliance, and divine light stairs were descending into the Immortal Court. The disciples of the Immortal Court who were below the flight realm used the divine light stairs to go up, while the disciples of the flight realm and above directly flew into the sky and landed on the 9 training grounds in an orderly manner. As far as the eye could see, there were 1 million of them, 1 million disciples. This scale surpassed any great sect or inheritance in the history of the 10 Directions heavenly domain. Lin Tian stood in the middle of the training field and glanced at the 1 million disciples of the Immortal Court. Without any hesitation, he informed them that the Netherworld race would invade this heaven region in a year's time. He also informed them of the strength of the Netherworld race, which was led by 11 celestial venerables. I will definitely follow Sir Immortal Emperor into battle. The 1 million disciples of the Immortal Court shouted in unison. Every one of them had a solemn expression. No one was surprised or fearful. Lin Tian's eyes flickered. Previously, when he told the other great forces that the Netherworld race was about to invade, those great figures of the great forces were shocked and worried. Even the Emperor-level figures were no exception. But now, when he told this to the disciples of the Immortal Court, They were not surprised at all. None of them had a worried or fearful expression. Every one of them looked solemn and held their heads high. This showed that these disciples of the immortal court deeply trusted him and believed that he could lead them to settle everything. Very good. Looking at the million disciples of the immortal court, he was touched by their expressions. Golden Emperor light interwove around his body. With a wave of his right hand, all the Lingjing flew out from the Lingjing storage room and interwove with a dense radiance. Vast spirit chi filled the 9 training grounds. In the war 1 year later, I hope all of you will do your best to kill the enemy and protect the world. I also hope that all of you can survive. He looked at the disciples and said, all the disciples below the immortal ascension realm, take the Lingjing storage room and cultivate. Refine it on the training grounds and break through to the immortal ascension realm with the help of the Lingjing storage room. As for the immortal ascension tribulation, we will help you block it. There were 6 billion Lingjing storage room in the immortal court. This was a huge number, but for the experts above the nirvana realm, it was not very useful for them to cultivate. At least, they were far from being able to break through to the emperor realm. The 6 billion Lingjing storage room was prepared for the ordinary disciples. At this time, he took out all the Lingjing storage room for the disciples of the immortal court to refine. All of this was to increase the strength of the ordinary disciples of the immortal court so that they could at least reach the immortal ascension realm. Because he could imagine that the netherworld race would invade 1 year later. The battle would definitely be fierce. He hoped that at that time, every disciple of the immortal court would have enough strength to fight the enemy and survive. As for these disciples of the immortal court, when they heard that there was a terrifying enemy coming from another world, they didn't show any surprise or fear. They trusted him deeply. They were worthy of him doing this. On the training grounds, all the disciples of the immortal court were moved. Their eyes lit up. Their leader took out 6 billion Lingjing storage room at this moment just to increase their strength so that they could have enough strength to face the enemy and survive the war 1 year later. This moved them. Thank you, Immortal Emperor, a group of disciples shouted. Lin Tian's body was surrounded by golden light. He scanned everyone on the training grounds with his powerful emperor-level divine sense. He checked the cultivation of each disciple of the immortal court and distributed enough Lingjing storage room reasonably. At the same time, Bai Ziki and the others also joined in. They distributed enough Lingjing storage room for the disciples of the immortal court who had not reached the immortal ascension realm. Start cultivating, Lin Tian shouted. Yes, all the disciples of the immortal court below the immortal ascension realm answered. On this day, many disciples of the immortal court were cultivating with spiritual crystals in the training field of the immortal court. Their auras were rising rapidly. Not long after, lightning intertwined above the immortal court. Some disciples broke into the immortal ascension realm and attracted the immortal ascension tribulation. After that, the lightning became louder. New lightning appeared. Some new disciples broke into the immortal ascension realm. Everyone else, focus on cultivating. Don't look at the lightning above your head. Don't worry about being affected. Lin Tian, Emperor Light, intertwined around his body. He ascended to the sky with Ling Yun and the others to block the heavenly tribulation for the disciples who broke into the immortal ascension realm. With their strength, it was too easy to shatter the heavenly tribulation of the immortal ascension realm. They could do it with a wisp of aura. Boom, boom, boom. Thunder rumbled continuously in the sky above the immortal court. For half a month, thunder clouds rolled in the sky above the immortal court. Many disciples of the immortal court broke into the immortal ascension realm and attracted the immortal ascension tribulation. Lin Tian and the others stood in the sky and shattered the immortal ascension tribulation one after another. After another half a month, the sky above the immortal court quieted down. All the disciples of the main immortal court had broken into the immortal ascension realm. All of them were full of vigor and vitality. Moreover, some disciples who were at the peak of the immortal ascension realm, Great Tao realm, and Enlightenment realm had also broken through to a new realm with the help of Lingjing. At this time, Millions of disciples of the immortal court stood on the training field. There were about 700,000 immortal ascension realm, 200,000 great Tao realm, 90,000 enlightenment realm, 3,000 nirvana realm, 100 half-step emperors, and 20 boundary emperors. They stood together, their vitality intertwining with each other. It was vast and terrifying. It could be said that this was a super grand occasion. Since ancient times, no major force or inheritance in the 10 directions heavenly domain had ever been so glorious. Good. Lin Tian nodded. Baiziki and the others also had a bright light in their eyes. They were the ones who established the immortal court. Now that the immortal court was so grand, they were naturally happy. Lin Tian's body was surrounded by emperor light. He waved his hand again and opened the immortal court's divine weapon palace. Treasured weapons rushed out from the divine weapon palace. There were immortal weapons, Tao weapons, divine weapons, and sacred weapons. They were all shining with dazzling cold light and terrifying murderous aura. He took out these treasured weapons and directly distributed them to all the disciples of the immortal court, increasing their combat strength again. This made the eyes of the disciples of the immortal court even brighter. They all clenched their fists. In the next month, the Scripture Depository Master and the others will teach you Emperor-level abilities. Each of you must master one. At the same time, I'll teach you a combination attack formation technique. It can be as small as a 3-man combination attack or as large as a 10,000-man combination attack. It can allow your aura and divine force to merge when you use the combination attack formation technique, increasing your killing power by several times or even 10 times. Lin Tian looked at the millions of disciples of the immortal court and said, a year later, the Netherworld race would send an army of 10 million. Before that, he had to do his best to increase the combat strength of the immortal court. Cultivate diligently, he shouted. Yes, the millions of disciples of the immortal court answered in unison. Lin Tian nodded and looked at Baiziki, Ling Yun, and the others. Over the years, they had read all the emperor-level abilities in the immortal court. Although they didn't master all of them, they remembered all of them. At this time, he began to teach them the techniques. Later, Lin Tian personally taught them the combination attack formation technique. With his powerful emperor-level divine sense, he injected the essence of the combination attack formation technique into the sea of consciousness of the disciples of the immortal court. He also personally practiced and guided the disciples of the immortal court in their cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. A month later, the strength of the millions of disciples of the immortal court skyrocketed. He, Baiziki, and the others stopped and left, letting the disciples of the immortal court cultivate on their own. Then, they went to the branches of the immortal court in the east, west, south, and north of the ninth heaven. They went to the branches of the immortal court in the lower heavens and brought along Lingjing's treasured weapons to enhance the strength of the disciples of the immortal court. After that, the group returned to the main immortal court. Little guy, there should be some leftovers of the myriad spirit treasure fruits you picked from the ethereal mountain, right? Take them all out. Chapter 1293. Misty Mountain was filled with all sorts of mystical immortal treasures. The 10,000 spirit treasure fruit was one of these immortal treasures. It could strengthen a cultivator's soul and raise their cultivation. It was extremely effective for cultivators under half-step emperor rank. When they were in the Misty Mountain, little Taichu picked a lot and almost took all the myriad spirit treasure fruits. He guessed that the little guy should have some left, so he asked the little guy to take them out and use them to increase the strength of Lin Shi, Jiyu Sushu, Shuiyi Bai Chiu, Yin and Baiziki. Yeah, the little guy blinked and waved his little paw, taking out 33 myriad spirit treasure fruits. This was all that was left. 33 left, not bad. Lin Tian couldn't help but smile. The myriad spirit treasure fruits were eaten by the little guy for leisure. He was quite surprised that there were so many left after so many years. After that, he called Lin Shi, Jiyu, Sushu, Shuiyi, Bai Chiu, Yin and Baiziki to the small forest in the depths of the immortal court. He gave them the myriad spirit treasure fruits and let them refine it. He then stood guard for them. After the group took the myriad spirit treasure fruits, they didn't hesitate and immediately started to refine it and cultivate. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. Boom, boom, boom. 7 days later, waves of powerful divine energy rushed out from the depths of the immortal court. All kinds of divine light interweaved in this small forest. After 7 days, the group cultivated with the myriad spirit treasure fruits and broke through a small level. Lin Shi reached the 3rd level of Nirvana realm. Jiyu, Sushu, Shuiyi, and the Black Dragon reached the 5th level of Nirvana realm. Bai Qiu, Yin and Yang Qi reached the 6th level of Nirvana realm. And Bai Ziki reached the 8th level of Nirvana realm. Everyone's strength increased by a lot. As for Lin Tian, Little Taichu, and Wuxing Crocodile, they were all above half-step emperor rank, so the 10,000 spirit treasure fruit was useless to them. There are still 9 months left. Let's do everything we can to increase our combat strength. Lin Tiandao, Ling Yun, and the rest nodded and left the forest. They returned to their respective cultivation grounds and began to meditate in seclusion. Lin Tian didn't go into secluded cultivation. Instead, he and the little Taichu went to the Immortal Lyceum's treasure pavilion and took out the Phoenix Bloodstone that Wu Yi had given him from Wuxing Crocodile. Using the power of the Emperor of Samsara, they created 5 new heavenly treasures and handed them to Bai Ziki, Fanning Xiong, Yang Qi, Ling Yun, and the Black Flood Dragon. As for Yin Yu, the Tianji Divine Mirror was definitely not weaker than a pinnacle heavenly treasure. As for Lin Shi and the others, they already had powerful heavenly treasures to protect themselves. Before the upcoming war, he had to do everything he could to make his family and friends as strong as possible. After handing over the 5 sects' heavenly treasures to Bai Ziki, Fanning Xiong, Ling Yun, and the others, he didn't stop there. He took out all the mystic jade rocks in the Immortal Emperor Pagoda and started to carve the Eternal Killing Array platforms. After 2 months, he had carved a total of 500 Eternal Killing Array platforms. Once each Eternal Killing Array platform was activated, it was enough to kill a 9th Heaven Emperor Realm expert. He distributed the Eternal Killing Array platforms to Lin Shi, Jiyu, Sushu, Shuiyi, Bai Qiu, Yin Bai Ziki, Wuxing Crocodile, Ling Yun, and the others. Then he gave 1 platform to each of the quasi-emperors of the Immortal Lyceum. He distributed them to the Immortal Lyceum's branches in the lower heavens. At the same time, he also gave some to the Barbarian Tribe, Ascension Dao Sect, Bai Family, Burning Sun Sect, and the Valley of the Harp. After that, he also refined a lot of sealing formation platforms and treasure pills that could suppress one's cultivation base and distributed them to everyone. That place should be of great use. After doing all this, his eyes shone brightly. He called the little Taichu and Wuxing Crocodile out of the Immortal Lyceum. Soon, they arrived at a desolate mountain in the East region. The spiritual qi in this mountain was extraordinary. Ancient trees were everywhere. He entered the desolate mountain and came to a pit that was 10,000 feet away. Looking at it, the diameter of the pit was about 50 to 60 feet. There were green grass and gray stones beside it. It looked very ordinary and didn't have any special aura. It was just that it seemed a little deep. When looking down from the sky, it was difficult to see the bottom. Here, the Wuxing Crocodile stared. The little Taichu also couldn't help but shrink his neck. 10,000 feet away, the pit looked very ordinary. They couldn't feel anything special about it. However, they would never forget the scene from a few years ago. At that time, when Lin Tian threw a living bird into the pit, an incomparably terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the ordinary-looking pit. That kind of aura could even swallow a celestial venerable. It could be said that this place was simply a destructive sinkhole. "Kid, what do you want to do here?" the Wuxing Crocodile asked. Lin Tian stared at the pit 10,000 feet away. His eyes narrowed slightly. "After the Netherworld race kills their way in, I'll try to lure a few of their celestial, venerable powerhouses into that pit." Hearing this, the Wuxing Crocodile's eyes widened even more. "Kid, you're going to do something big." It knew how terrifying that sinkhole was. As long as a living creature entered its range, it would definitely die. Even celestial venerable powerhouses were no exception. If they could really lure a few netherworld celestial venerables into this sinkhole, they would be killed in the blink of an eye. It seemed a little excited, but then frowned. But how do I lure the celestial venerables of that race into the sinkhole? Engrave a large-scale teleportation array and cover it with a sealing array pattern. As long as someone enters this teleportation array, I can forcibly send them into the sinkhole. Of course, the teleportation array teleports the target from the inside of the void. Powerful people can forcibly shatter the void and escape during the teleportation process. Especially celestial venerable powerhouses, they can't be given time to react. Lin Tiandao. Therefore, the location of the teleportation array must be close enough to the sinkhole. Roughly speaking, it can't be more than 10 feet away. 10 feet? So close? You'll be fine in the process of engraving the array and luring the enemy, right? Wuxing Crocodile frowned. This sinkhole was very dangerous. Lin Tiandao had to engrave the teleportation array at such a close distance, and then he had to get close to this place to lure the enemy. This was indeed a little dangerous. If he didn't do well, he might lose his life. Don't worry, I know what to do. Lin Tiandao. He let the little Taichu and Wuxing Crocodile stay away from the sinkhole. He himself was about 10 feet away from the sinkhole, engraving the teleportation array pattern on the ground and in the void. The whole process was very slow and very careful. After all, they were too close to the sinkhole now. After that, it was not until a full 10 days later that he finished engraving the teleportation array. At the same time, he also engraved several sealing arrays to cover the surroundings, concealing the aura of the teleportation array. If a celestial venerable didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. It's done, he muttered to himself and retreated. For the past 10 days, he had always maintained the highest level of vigilance. At this time, after he finished engraving the teleportation array, he discovered that his forehead and back were involuntarily dripping with sweat. Even his clothes were soaked by a large amount of sweat. This was really because this sinkhole was too dangerous. His mind was always in a tense state during these 10 days, so naturally, cold sweat overflowed. You have to be very careful when luring the enemy in the future, Wuxing Crocodile said solemnly. Understood. Lin Tiandao nodded. The man and the two beasts took one last look at this place, then turned and left. Then, in the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. During these 3 months, Lin Tiandao, Little Taichu, and Wuxing Crocodile didn't cultivate in seclusion. After Yin calculated that the netherworld race would break in from the red earth plane at the border of the western region, they directly went to this place. Lin Tiandao personally engraved various killing arrays in this plane, covering all directions. At the same time, during these 3 months, he took Little Taichu and Wuxing Crocodile to many places from the first heaven to the 9th heaven, looking for traces of an old drunkard, but they didn't find anything. Well, let Miss Yu calculate it, Wuxing Crocodile said. It knows how powerful an old drunkard is. If an old drunkard makes a move, the upcoming battle will be much easier. That's the only way. Lin Tiandao. He tore open the void, stepped into it with Little Taichu and Wuxing Crocodile, and returned to the Immortal Lyceum in the next moment. After entering the Immortal Lyceum, he went to the depths of the Immortal Lyceum. Yin Lin Shi, and Ji Yu were cultivating together. He didn't hesitate and directly told Yin the purpose of his visit. He asked Yin to calculate the traces of an old drunkard. Okay. Yin smiled. After her cultivation reached the 6th level of Nirvana realm, her aura was stronger, and her control of the divine calculation of heavenly secrets had become more proficient. She had seen an old drunkard before, so she didn't need Lin Tiandao to provide anything. She directly used the divine calculation of heavenly secrets and began to deduce. Buzz! As she operated the divine calculation of heavenly secrets, the light of the Tao suddenly emerged in this courtyard, surrounding her on its own. It was extremely dense, as if all the 3,000 great Tao had awakened at this moment, emitting Tao light. In the blink of an eye, dozens of breaths passed. At this time, The light of the Tao outside, Yin Er's body became denser, and the immortal spiritual qi intertwined. She couldn't help but frown. Seeing this, Lin Tiandao asked, "What's wrong, Yer?" Since they met, this was the first time he saw Yin frowning while using the divine calculation of heavenly secrets. Beside her, whooshing crocodile, Lin Shi, and the others also looked puzzled. Yin didn't say anything. She raised her hand to form a seal, and the divine mirror of heavenly secrets rushed out of her body. In an instant, the divine light of heavenly secrets filled the sky, surrounding her. In the blink of an eye, dense divine runes of heavenly secrets appeared in this courtyard, forming a great array of heavenly secrets. It led to an even more shocking Tao light, like an ocean of Tao. Then, dozens of breaths passed in the blink of an eye. Her frown deepened, and she formed an even more complicated divine seal of heavenly secrets, causing the divine light of the divine mirror of heavenly secrets to surge out of her body. The dazzling light almost enveloped the entire immortal Lyceum, causing many immortal soldiers and immortal generals in the immortal Lyceum to be shocked by the immortal spiritual qi. Buzz! Yin Er's hand seals became even faster, and more immortal spirit inscriptions appeared. However, her frown deepened, and beads of sweat began to form on her forehead. Even her face had turned slightly pale. After that, she finally stopped after a full quarter of an hour. "No, it's too strange. I can't feel anything." Chapter 1294. What? I can't sense anything? Lin Tian's expression changed. He knew very well how powerful Yin Er's divine skill was. She was an immortal spiritual body, and with the help of the divine mirror, her divine skill might be comparable to that of the ancestors of this branch. Previously, she had also divined the movements of the 11 celestial venerables of the Netherworld clan at the same time, which was very shocking. But now, just by divining the tracks of an old drunkard, she didn't get anything. She didn't have a clue at all, which surprised him a little. Whooshing Crocodile also showed a surprised expression. "It can't be right?" Lin Shi, Yu, and the others all looked at Yin curiously. "I've tried my best, but I still can't sense anything," Yin said. Her beautiful brows were deeply furrowed. Even she was very confused. This is too strange. Logically speaking, such a situation shouldn't happen. Even if your master is so powerful that I can't divinate anything about him with my current realm, there should be signs before that. Perhaps there would be destructive thunder in the sky, or the emergence of the Great Way, causing the sky to darken and the earth to darken, or me, the diviner, to suddenly die on the spot. It could even bring disaster to all sides and forcibly interrupt my divinations. But now, hearing her words, Lin Tian couldn't help but frown. He didn't know as much about the divine skill as Yin but it was enough to be said that he was very familiar with it. Indeed, as Yin said, even if an old drunkard was very powerful and couldn't be divined with Yin current cultivation, there should be some signs. It was impossible that she couldn't sense anything without any signs. He paused and said to Yin "Then try divining the tracks of my master's wife." He learned from the highest elder of the Burning Sun sect that an old drunkard left the sect with Qing Xian, so they must be together. As long as he could divine Qing Xian's tracks, he would be able to know where an old drunkard was. "All right, I'll try," Yin said. "However, if your masteress was with your master, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to deduce your masteress's whereabouts." As she said this, she performed the Tianji divine art again, and the Tianji divine mirror cooperated with her. After that, dozens of breaths passed in the blink of an eye, and the celestial spiritual Tao patterns that filled the sky gradually dissipated. No, she shook her head. It was indeed as she had predicted. She could not deduce Qing Xian's whereabouts, either. The whooshing crocodile opened its mouth. Why do I feel that this is even more mysterious than when Tian Swansea was divining the little Tai Chu? At this time, Yin was divining an old drunkard, but nothing happened. However, when Tian Swansea was divining the little Taichu, destructive thunderbolts descended, and the entire southern region was plunged into darkness. This might seem more terrifying when Tian Swansea was divining the little Taichu, but in fact, it felt that Yinya was divining an old drunkard at this time. Because when Yinya was divining an old drunkard, there were no signs at all, but she could not divine anything. Even Qing Xian, who was with an old drunkard, could not be divined at all. This was a bit scary. Boy, your master seems to be more terrifying than we thought. It looked at Lin Tian strangely. It had seen Qing Xian before. Although she was also very extraordinary, it had never felt that she was unfathomable. It was enough to imagine that all of this was related to an old drunkard. Yinya Dao of divine secret arts could not divine an old drunkard, and because of an old drunkard, Yinya could not even divine Qing Xian. This was really a bit scary. This Lin Tian frowned. The current situation was indeed a bit strange. What's going on with this old guy? He could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought. He thought for a long time, but in the end, he just shook his head. Forget it. Let's not look for him. We'll make other preparations ourselves. He said. Even Yinya who was proficient in divination, could not divine an old drunkard's whereabouts. At this time, he gave up on searching for an old drunkard. He also did not think about why Yinya could not divine an old drunkard, because there was no point in thinking about it now. It would not be of any use in the upcoming battle. There's not much time left. Do your best to improve your battle strength. He said. Lin Shi, Jiyu, and the others nodded, looking very serious. The great battle that was about to take place soon had too many implications. On this day, Lin Tian left and entered the Immortal Emperor Pagoda to make other preparations. In the blink of an eye, 9 months passed. In 3 days, the Netherworld race will enter from the Western region. On this day, Yinya was said to have entered the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. During these 9 months, she would make a divination every few days to grasp the best opportunity. Lin Tian received this message from the Immortal Emperor Pagoda and immediately stepped out of the pagoda. His eyes were bright, and he woke up Wuxing Crocodile, Bai Ziki, Yang Qi, and the others from their seclusion. The group rushed to the highest sky of the Immortal Court. Immortal Court generals, prepare for battle. Standing in the Immortal Court, he issued the Emperor's voice. The Emperor's voice was like the Tao, mighty and mighty, reverberating in every corner of the Immortal Court. Fight! Millions of immortal soldiers and immortal generals roared in unison like thunder. Whoosh! 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 With the sound of breaking air, immortal light rushed out of the Immortal Court. Powerful blood chi intertwined, vast and unparalleled. As early as a year ago, the millions of immortal soldiers and immortal generals of the Immortal Court had learned about the battle from Lin Tian. Now that they heard Lin Tian's Emperor's voice, they immediately moved. They rushed out of the Immortal Court. Some rushed to the border of the Western region, and some rushed to the other regions of this heaven. There were also powerful quasi-emperors who tore through the heavenly barriers and led the troops into the lower heavens. Because once the Netherworld race entered, the battlefield might be the entire first heaven to the 9th heaven. The combat strength of the Immortal Court would spread throughout the first heaven to the 9th heaven. This was an order that Lin Tian had long planned and passed down. Of course, at the same time, the Immortal Court also left enough powerhouses to guard the main clan. The 10-direction killing formation was fully activated, covering the entire Immortal Court. Unless a heavenly venerable powerhouse came in person, no one would be able to survive. Fight! Kill! The immortal soldiers and immortal generals of the Immortal Court roared, their voices shaking the sky. Lin Tian stood above the Immortal Court. Little Taichu Wuxing Crocodile, Bai Ziki, Fanning Xiong, Yang Qi, and the others followed. Lin Shi Jiyu and the others were also there. They were also going to participate in the battle. In fact, Lin Tian didn't want them to go out of the Immortal Court to fight. He hoped that they could stay in the Immortal Court. However, several women shook their heads, unwilling to do so. Their attitude was very firm. They could choose not to fight normally, But now that they were facing a great enemy that might bring disaster to the entire first heaven to the ninth heaven, they had no choice but to fight. Lin Tian stood above the immortal court, watching the disciples of the immortal court rush out of the immortal court, and the light in his eyes became stronger. He looked at his family, friends, and companions and said, "The most important thing isn't to protect the world and all living beings, nor is it to defeat the army of the netherworld. The most important thing is that all of you have to live, and you have to live in perfect condition. Lord Crocodile won't die. How can I die so early? It's just a small netherworld race. Lord Crocodile will swallow them all." Whooshing Crocodile gritted his teeth. "You're too worried. We're not that weak." Ziki said, "Brother, don't worry." Lin Shi said, "We will all live. Life is the most important thing," Jiu said. The group looked at Lin Tian and spoke one after another. "Okay." Lin Tian nodded, turned around and looked into the distance. "Let's go." Boom. A powerful emperor's aura spread throughout the entire ninth heaven, spreading to every corner of the ninth heaven. East region, Demon King Palace, it's begun. The Violet Fairy stood above the Demon King Palace. The corners of her mouth raised slightly, and a faint purple divine light intertwined in her eyes. In the next moment, she disappeared from the Demon King Palace. "Old 3, you stay behind to guard the Demon King Palace. The rest, prepare for battle according to Lord Demon King's orders." The first Supreme Elder of the Demon King Palace said, "Yes." In the Demon King Palace, voices sounded. Afterward, powerful demonic lights rushed out of the Demon King Palace, rushing in different directions. South region, Legendary Saber Pavilion. The old ancestor of this generation of the Legendary Saber Pavilion rushed out and stood at the top of the Legendary Saber Pavilion. Great Elder and half of the disciples stay behind to guard the Saber Pavilion. Second Elder, Third Elder, and the rest of the disciples, come with me to fight with the Immortal Emperor. Yes. The second and third Grand Elders of the Legendary Blade Pavilion took to the air, as did all the disciples above the airborne realm. Beams of light intertwined as they came to the sky above the Legendary Blade Pavilion. "Let's go," the old ancestor of the Legendary Saber Pavilion said. With a flash of Emperor's light, he disappeared with everyone. North region, Purple Branding Holy Land, fight with the Immortal Emperor. The old ancestor of this generation of the Purple Branding Holy Land said. He wrapped the powerhouses of the Purple Branding Holy Land and left the Purple Branding Holy Land. Almost at the same time, the other great sects in the ninth heaven responded at this time, and powerhouses rushed out. All of this was because Lin Tian's Emperor's aura spread throughout the ninth heaven, informing all the great sects of the ninth heaven that the battle was about to begin. These great sects learned from Lin Tian that the netherworld race would invade a year later, and they had been making various preparations. Now that Lin Tian released his Emperor's aura, they naturally understood. Boom, boom, boom. On this day, in the ninth heaven, a tyrannical aura spread out, and a divine light spread out, shaking the 10 directions. Lin Tian's body intertwined with golden light as he brought Lin Shi and the others, along with Ziki and the others, to the western region. Ka! The void in front of them split open, and the Violet Fairy walked out. Purple divine light intertwined, and her aura was even stronger than a year ago. How long will it take for them to arrive? She walked to Lin Tian's side and asked. 3 days. Lin Tiandao. As his words fell, another void split open, and the old ancestor of the Legendary Saber Pavilion led a group of powerhouses to arrive. Immortal Emperor. The old ancestor of the Legendary Saber Pavilion stepped forward and walked to Lin Tian's side. At the same time, he nodded to the Violet Fairy. Then, the void split open again, and the old ancestor of the Purple Branding Holy Land led a group of powerhouses and stepped out of the void. Immortal Emperor, Demon Emperor. The old ancestor of the Purple Branding Holy Land spoke and walked towards Lin Tian. Then, the sound of the void breaking rang out one after another, and the void continued to split open. One by one, the old ancestors of the great sects arrived with a solemn expression. Chapter 1295. The Netherworld race is about to invade, and this matter is too big. It concerns the entire first heaven to the ninth heaven. It's no longer a matter of one person, but a matter of everyone from the first to ninth heaven. At this time, the various great sects that have been preparing for a year moved out together after sensing Lin Tian's Empyrean aura. Immortal Emperor. The old ancestors of the various great sects greeted Lin Tian, then looked at the Beast Emperor, Old Ancestor Purple Scorpion, and the others. Lin Tian nodded at these people and said, "The Netherworld race will invade from the Red Earth Plain at the border of the Western region in 3 days. We will go there to intercept them." Looking at the crowd, he continued, "However, after that, the scope of the war will inevitably expand. It won't be limited to the Red Earth Plain at the border of the Western region. At that time, it will be a cruel war that will affect the entire first heaven to ninth heaven. Everyone, we will do our best to kill the enemy, protect our own inheritances, protect the weak fellow Taoists and the ordinary people who have no combat power, and protect the integrity of this territory. Naturally, this territory belongs to us. We won't allow the foreign evildoers to destroy it. We will follow the immortal emperor's orders." The old ancestors of the great sects all agreed. "Good. We will go to the Red Earth Plain in the Western region. When the Netherworld race invades, we will give them a head-on blow." Lin Tian Dao. "Good." The old ancestors of the great sects all shouted in unison. On this day, led by Lin Tian, all the great sects of the ninth heaven set out, and the powerhouses followed him. Soon, they arrived at the Red Earth Plain at the border of the Western region. Looking around, the Red Earth Plain was very wide, and it was difficult to see the end of it at a glance. There was no vegetation on the surface, and almost all of it was gray gravel. It was like a desert, and the aura fluctuations were very thin. Lin Tian and the old ancestors of the great sects led the powerhouses here. They led the disciples of their respective inheritances to separate areas, forming a semicircle around the Red Earth Plain. Everyone's expression was solemn, and their fighting spirit was high. Your safety is the most important thing in all of this. Remember, don't ever forget this. Lin Tian said solemnly to the people around him. This was the second time he had said something like this today. This time, Whooshing Crocodile and the others all nodded seriously. "Don't worry," Bai Ziki said. "We will protect ourselves." Bai Chio said, "The world was beautiful because they had family and friends by their side. Therefore, they had to live. They had to live." Lin Tian nodded. His eyes sparkled as he looked ahead. In the other seats, the experts of the Purple Burning Holy Land, the Legacy Saber Pavilion, and the other great sects also stared ahead solemnly. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Buzz! On this day, the space above the Crimson Earth Plain suddenly distorted and cracked. A faint blue light appeared. A cold and powerful aura spread out from the crack in the void. "They're here!" Lin Tian stared ahead, a cold glint in his eyes. At the same time, the experts of the other great sects on the Crimson Earth Plain were shocked as they stared ahead. In the next moment, there was a loud explosion. The void in the depths of the Crimson Earth Plain suddenly exploded. A faint blue light rushed out like a volcanic eruption, intertwining with coldness. "Kill!" A cold shout resounded throughout the Crimson Earth Plain. A huge passage appeared in the exploded void. Densely packed figures rushed out from the passage like a torrent of killing intent. The terrifying killing intent almost split the heavens and the earth. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of figures rushed out. Such a scene caused the patriarchs and experts of the various great sects to be shocked. It's true. The eyes of the powerful ancestors of the great sects flickered at this moment. A year ago, when they heard Lin Tian mention this, they didn't doubt him at all. Because with Lin Tian's identity as the master of the immortal court, there was no reason for him to make up such a story to deceive them. However, when they saw this scene with their own eyes and saw the Netherworld race from the sealed dust ancient region kill their way in, they still couldn't help but be shocked. Everything was as Lin Tian had said. Even the location and time of appearance were not wrong in the slightest. Boom, boom, boom. The faint blue light surged. On the crimson earth plane, the crack in the void became wider. A crack that was at least 10 feet wide appeared. Densely packed, netherworld race cultivators rushed out from it. In the blink of an eye, more than 200,000 people rushed out. Among them, there was a powerful existence in the early stage of the Emperor Realm. The Emperor Realm's aura was vast and mighty, intertwining around his body. His eyes were incomparably cold. However, in the next moment, the Netherworld Emperor was shocked. The other 200,000 Netherworld race cultivators who rushed out were also shocked. They had slaughtered their way here from the sealed, dust ancient region, and as soon as they appeared, there was actually a dense crowd of cultivators standing in front of them. All of them were waiting for them, and their gazes were all fixed on them. It felt as though they had been waiting for them for a long time. The early-stage emperor of the Netherworld race narrowed his eyes. Cold light intertwined in his eyes. At this moment, he could not help but frown. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian raised his hand. With an indifferent expression, he formed a formation seal with one hand. Activate. His voice was calm as he spat out a word. In an instant, the crimson earth plane shook violently. Dense formation runes appeared on the surface and in the void. Immediately, monstrous killing intent surged out. Rays of terrifying killing light condensed in the blink of an eye. The aura of destruction intertwined in all directions. This aura was too terrifying. It was as though it could annihilate everything. The expressions of the Netherworld race who rushed out changed instantly. The early-stage emperor of the Netherworld race was shocked. His internal organs instantly turned cold. Clang, clang, clang. The 10-direction killing formation shook. The killing light was like a sword. It let out a sword whistle and indiscriminately attacked all the Netherworld race members. Ah! Miserable shrieks instantly rang out. The early-stage emperor of the Netherworld race was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. He was immediately enveloped by the killing light. His sturdy emperor body instantly exploded. His god soul was also instantly crushed. He could not block this terrifying killing light at all. This killing formation was engraved by Lin Tian, who was at the 7th level of the Emperor Realm. It was enough to kill a 9th-level Emperor Realm expert. At the same time, the other Netherworld race cultivators screamed in terror. The coldness in their eyes when they rushed out disappeared. They were all in chaos. Ah, no! Horrified screams echoed. The first few 100,000 Netherworld race cultivators who rushed out covered their heads and fled like rats. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. Lin Tian activated the killing formation that was engraved here. At this moment, he mercilessly reaped the lives of the Netherworld race cultivators who rushed over. In the blink of an eye, this place turned into a hell of death. Blood dyed the surface of the ground red. How can this be? The group of Netherworld race cultivators was horrified. They came from the sealed dust ancient region in order to unify the 10 directions. They wanted to slaughter the human race and enslave the myriad of existences in this world. However, they did not expect to encounter such a calamity the moment they rushed into this world. Endless killing lights bombarded them. Ah! Ear-piercing screams rang out. The blood on the ground increased as the sound of flesh exploding continuously rang out. How could an ordinary person resist the killing formation engraved by Lin Tian, who was at the 7th level of the Emperor Realm? Even a 9th-level Emperor Realm expert would be killed. At this moment, the Netherworld race cultivators were dying one after another. In the blink of an eye, 100,000 of them were killed. Good. Worthy of being an immortal emperor. Beautiful. The ancestors of the purple branding sacred ground and the other great powers spoke. Many people's eyes couldn't help but flash at this scene. The Netherworld race killed their way in, but they were met with Lin Tian's killing formation as soon as they came out. One Emperor Realm expert was killed along with 100,000 cultivators. This was a blow to the head of the Netherworld race. This blow was equivalent to slapping the Netherworld race in the face. Boom! The Crimson Earth Plane was filled with killing runes. 10,000 rays of killing light engulfed all of the Netherworld race experts that rushed out. Pluff! 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 Ear-piercing screams rang out as mists of blood continued to explode. At this moment, Lin Tian and the other great powers cultivators quietly stood in place. Just the vibrations of the killing runes were enough to easily reap the lives of the Netherworld race cultivators and dye the ground red. Crack! A shattering sound rang out at this moment. On the crimson plane that had already been dyed red by blood, the 10 zhang long spatial crack that had been torn open twisted and collapsed once again. It became 20 zhang long, and an even thicker blue light intertwined with each other. Later on, more Netherworld race cultivators appeared one after another. They were all stronger than the first ones that came out. At this time, Lin Tian lifted his head to look at that direction. 2 cold rays flashed in his eyes as a familiar aura appeared. Moreover, it was very powerful. Boom! Like a mountain flood erupting, the Crimson Earth Plane shook violently. Behind the 20 zhang long spatial fissure, an old figure stepped out. He was dressed in a purple robe and looked like a supreme being of heaven and earth. There was actually a blue divine ring around his body. In just a moment, the 10-direction killing formation that Lin Tian had engraved on the Crimson Earth Plane was completely shattered by the impact. This aura, heavenly venerable rank, the ancestral patriarch of the Saber Pavilion, and the others couldn't help but be shocked. The purple-robed figure stepped out. He looked very old, but his blood and chi were extremely tyrannical. He was like a furnace that walked in the human world, causing the ancestral patriarch's hearts to palpitate. Lin Tian looked at this person. The light in his eyes intertwined as he recognized him. Back then, when he entered the first territory of the Netherworld race with the Emperor Heavenly Tribulation, this person jumped out at that time. He was a heavenly venerable rank expert of the Netherworld race and had terrifying strength. As if he had sensed Lin Tian's gaze, the purple-robed heavenly venerable Netherworld tilted his head and looked over. Suddenly, a dazzling light burst out from his eyes. There was killing intent, but more than that, there was greed. It's you, the Reincarnation Constitution. He was a heavenly venerable rank expert and recognized the Reincarnation Constitution. Moreover, when Lin Tian entered the first territory of the Netherworld race with the Heavenly Tribulation, he had already seen Lin Tian. Chapter 1296. Boundless heavenly venerate God force vibrated, suppressing all directions, enveloping Lin Tian and solidifying the space around him. This was the attack of a heavenly venerate expert. It was terrifying, and the divine power seemed to want to destroy everything. It was terrifying. However, Lin Tian's expression did not change at all. There was no fear, and he was calm and collected. I'll suppress you first and take the reincarnation origin. Then I'll kill that woman, that despicable woman. The purple-robed heavenly venerate Netherworld said coldly. He wanted to take Lin Tian's reincarnation origin and deal with Wu Yi at the same time. Back in the sealed dust ancient region, he had suffered greatly at the hands of Wu Yi, and he had always remembered it in his heart. Boom! The heavenly venerate divine power became even more terrifying, and a blue light curtain spread out in all directions. A cold snort sounded from beside Lin Tian. A vast aura surged as the violet fairy stepped out, and purple divine light filled the sky. Blood exploded. The purple-robed, heavenly venerate Netherworld's hand was shattered by the purple divine light, and he was sent flying 1,000 feet away. Patriarch, how is this possible? The Netherworld tribe cultivators on the Crimson Earth Plane were shocked. The purple-robed patriarch of their tribe was at the heavenly venerate realm, but now, one of his arms was shattered in the blink of an eye, and he was sent flying 1,000 feet away. At the same time, the ancestral patriarch of the Saber Pavilion and purple branding Holy Land were shocked. This is heavenly venerate realm. That demon king has reached the heavenly venerate realm? The patriarchs of the major sects were shocked. Even Bai Ziki and the others were shocked, and their eyes widened. He has reached the heavenly venerate realm. This whooshing crocodile was shocked. He is indeed the most outstanding demon king in the history of the demon tribe. The Demon King Palace was the most powerful force of the demon tribe in the 10 Directions' heavenly domain, and it was the true demon tribe's holy land. Since its creation, it had never had a heavenly venerate realm existence. So beautiful, so powerful. Bai Chio's eyes lit up. She had seen the purple fairy a long time ago and liked her very much. Back then, she had even wanted to hug the purple fairy a few times. Now that she saw the purple fairy injure the netherworld race's heavenly venerable one in one move, she was clearly a little excited. So strong. Ji was also shocked. With a rumble, the void above the crimson earth plane shook violently. The dark blue light was as vast and mighty as the Milky Way. The purple-robed, celestial lord of the netherworld, who had been sent flying, steadied himself and repaired his celestial lord physique. His gaze fell upon the violet fairy, and his eyes were very cold. He was one of the great ancestors of the netherworld race, an existence at the level of a celestial lord. Now he was actually injured and forced to retreat after just one attack. Most importantly, he recognized the violet fairy. A few years ago, she was together with Wu Yi, who had embarrassed him so much. "It's you, one of that woman's companions." He stared at the violet fairy, his eyes turning even colder. A terrifying, killing intent surged out from him. With a Hong sound, the deep blue divine light around his body became even denser. The might of a heavenly venerable was vast and mighty, as if the starry river was about to collapse. Clang! The sound of a sword was ear-piercing. The purple divine light filled the sky and slashed toward the netherworld race, celestial lord, with an overwhelming force. The violet fairy made her move. She directly used the great void god slaying way. Poof! 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 Blood splattered everywhere. Once the great void god slaying way was used, all things withered. It shattered the protective light screen around the purple-robed celestial lord of the netherworld race, celestial lord. It almost pierced through his celestial lord physique like a brush. He was in a very sorry state, and this caused the netherworld race, celestial lord, to fly more than 1,000 feet away again. This caused the group of netherworld race cultivators who had just rushed over to tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The great ancestor of their race, a celestial lord, had actually been injured by the same person twice. He was in such a sorry state. At the same time, the cultivators of the legendary Saber Pavilion, the Purple Burn Holy Land, and the other great sects all had radiant looks on their faces. Demon Emperor! Demon Emperor! Demon Emperor! Many powerhouses could not help but shout in excitement. A netherworld race celestial lord had crossed over, but he was sent flying twice by the Demon Emperor in the blink of an eye. This was another slap to the face after Lin Tian killed the 100,000 vanguard troops of the netherworld race with the killing formation. It was extremely loud and resounding. It was a ruthless slap to the face of the netherworld race. Ah! The purple-robed netherworld race celestial lord roared. His tyrannical celestial lord physique healed in the blink of an eye. Looking at the violet fairy, the veins on his forehead bulged. "You!" Clang! The sound of a sword rang. The great void god, slaying way, was vast and mighty like a rolling sea of swords. It directly interrupted the netherworld race, celestial lord. The violet fairy was surrounded by purple divine light. She was like a Roashian fairy walking in the mortal world. She closed in on the purple-robed, netherworld race, celestial lord. "You want to suppress my brother? You dare to say that you can kill Wui? Who do you think you are?" The purple light on her body surged, and her heavenly venerable aura rose. If Wu Yi really attacked, a slap would be enough to kill all of you from the netherworld race. Do you think you have the right to spout nonsense here? You killed your way here from the sealed dust ancient region and tried to unify the 10 sides. You are all courting death. Her voice was cold and indifferent. It was like a sudden clap of thunder across the sky, causing the purple-robed netherworld race, celestial lord's expression, to turn even uglier. Woman, staring at the violet fairy, the murderous intent in the netherworld race, celestial lord's eyes intensified. He was a dignified, heavenly venerable, but he was being looked down upon like this. The netherworld race had crossed the border and killed their way here, and they were actually being called courting death. Overflowing divine light erupted from his body. The power of a heavenly venerable surged, and the light of a heavenly venerable shrouded the violet fairy. "I'll kill you first." The violet fairy stepped forward. Her entire body was surrounded by purple divine light. She rode the great void god's slaying way, and the pressure of a heavenly venerable surged. In the blink of an eye, the two of them clashed, and the sky was filled with murderous light. Lin Tian's eyes intertwined as he looked at the battlefield. The violet fairy and the purple-robed netherworld race, celestial lord, were on top. He shifted his gaze and looked at the other netherworld race cultivators who had rushed out. Golden divine light surged around his body. As the purple-robed netherworld race, celestial lord, charged in, more netherworld race cultivators rushed over. At this time, there were already 1,000,000 netherworld race cultivators gathered on the Crimson Earth plains. The number was astonishing. "Everyone kill!" He sent out his imperial voice. The killing formation he had engraved on the Crimson Earth plains had already been shattered by the purple-robed netherworld race, celestial lord. At this time, the violet fairy had blocked the purple-robed celestial lord, and the remaining netherworld race cultivators were left. It was time for the slaughter to begin. As soon as his imperial voice sounded, the cultivators of the various great sects on the Crimson Earth plains were all shocked. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The battle cries shook the heavens and the earth, surging like a vast ocean. The immortal court's immortal soldiers and generals were the first to rush out. Each of them wielded powerful artifacts. Their auras were like rainbows, and their battle auras were astonishing. Poof! 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 Blood splattered. As the immortal court's immortal soldiers and generals charged in, a large number of netherworld race cultivators were torn to shreds in the blink of an eye. The weakest of these immortal soldiers and generals were in the immortal ascension realm. Almost all of them had artifacts above immortal artifacts. At this moment, they formed groups of 3, 9, or dozens. They cooperated with each other. Their divine power, blood, and chi blended together, and their battle auras were like torrents. It was very difficult for the netherworld race cultivators to block them. A netherworld race cultivator at the peak of the 9th heaven of the Great Tao was attacked by 3 early-stage Great Tao immortal soldiers and generals. He exploded in the blink of an eye, his body and soul crumbling together. He was annihilated on the spot. "Ah, damned human ants! Your cultivation is clearly so much lower than ours. Why would you? Ah!" The netherworld race cultivators turned pale with fright. One by one, they were killed by the immortal court's immortal soldiers and generals. In the blink of an eye, a large number of them had died. Boom! 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 Powerful auras intertwined, and the divine power of the immortal soldiers and generals skyrocketed. On this day, there were about 70,000 immortal soldiers and generals who had followed Lin Tiansha here. At this moment, all of them rushed out to fight. While they attacked together, they unleashed their remarkable abilities at this moment. All of them were incomparably powerful. As soon as they were unleashed, it caused all directions to tremble. Poof! 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 Blood rained down as netherworld race cultivators exploded one after another. In just a moment, 70,000 immortal soldiers and generals rushed out like a murderous torrent, killing a total of 300,000 netherworld race cultivators. Good. Lin Tiansha's eyes shone brightly. With the help of Yin Ye'er's divine art of divination, he knew in advance that the netherworld race would invade in a year's time. After that, he used all the spiritual crystals in the celestial court to increase the cultivation base of the disciples of the celestial court, causing everyone to reach the level of connecting immortal and above. He also sent out all the precious weapons in the celestial court. After that, he spent a month personally guiding by Zeki and the others, passing down the Emperor-level divine art and combined attack formation art. He did everything he could to increase the combat power of the disciples of the Celestial Court. After that, all the disciples of the Celestial Court cultivated diligently, almost day and night, increasing their strength by a lot. Now, the 70,000 immortal soldiers and generals who had followed him rushed out in groups of 3, 9, or 10. They displayed the power of combined attack techniques and precious weapons. They even unleashed their Emperor-level remarkable abilities. The powerful offensive power enveloped the 1 million Netherworld race cultivators who had rushed out at this time, slaughtering 300,000 of them in the blink of an eye. As the Lord of the Immortal Court, he was very satisfied. Ah! Screams rang out as the Netherworld race cultivators were killed by the immortal soldiers and generals of the Immortal Court. Blood flowed everywhere, dyeing the Scarlet Earth plain even redder. The Immortal Court's general's battle chi was intimidating. That's combined attack techniques? They're using combined attack techniques to kill the enemy, and they're so proficient in it. Their weapons, immortal artifacts, Tao weapons, divine weapons, saint weapons. Does everyone know Emperor-level remarkable abilities? This is the combat power of the ordinary immortal soldiers and generals of the Immortal Court. The experts of the legendary Saber Pavilion, the Purple Branding Sanctum, and the other major factions were deeply shocked by this scene. In the past, they only knew that the Immortal Court had the Emperor-level reincarnation physique Immortal Emperor, the Heavenly Venerate Little Taichu, the Barbarian King physique, the Thunder God physique, the Extreme Een physique, the Immortal Spirit physique, and the Heavenly Demon physique. They also had the Divine Sun Eye, the True Dragon Bloodline, and a group of peerless geniuses who could control the spiritual sea phenomenon. Therefore, they thought that the Celestial Court was extremely powerful and didn't pay attention to the ordinary immortal soldiers and generals of the Immortal Court. Now, they were shocked by this scene. Only then did they know that the Immortal Court didn't only have the reincarnation physique Immortal Emperor, the Heavenly Venerate Little Taichu, and a group of powerful core members. The rest of the disciples of the Immortal Court were also very powerful. With such a lineup and combat power, the Immortal Court can really be called the #1 sanctum in the history of the 10 Directions heavenly regions. Some of the older experts were shocked. Chapter 1297. At the border of the Western region, on the Crimson Earth Plain, 70,000 immortal soldiers and immortal generals were like peerless swords. Wherever they passed, the blood of the netherworld splattered across the sky. The patriarchs of the various great sects were all stunned. Compared to the disciples of the great sects, the immortal soldiers and generals of the Immortal Court were too powerful. Everyone was stunned. After a few breaths, the patriarch of the purple branding sacred ground came back to his senses. He looked ahead, his eyes bursting with divine light. "Let's follow. Kill!" Patriarch Purple Branding shouted. Behind Patriarch Purple Totem, the disciples of the Purple Totem Holy Land all began to move. Their vast and mighty blood chi surged forward to kill the netherworld race cultivators who were the first to enter the encirclement. "Disciples, kill!" The Patriarch of the legendary Saber Pavilion said. "Kill!" On the side of the legendary Saber Pavilion, the disciples of the legendary Saber Pavilion interweaved their powerful Tao light and rushed out directly. At the same time, the other great sects in this place also moved. One by one, the cultivators rushed out one after another. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The disciples of the great sects roared and used all their divine abilities and secret techniques to intimidate the enemy. A year ago, Yinya had divined that the netherworld race would attack today. Lin Tian had informed the great sects of this region, of the heavenly region of this matter. The great sects had made all kinds of preparations in this 1 year. Now that they were facing the netherworld race's attack, they were not flustered at all. Their expressions were solemn, and their battle chi was very shocking. Suddenly, blood splattered everywhere. One by one, the netherworld cultivators were killed. In the blink of an eye, a large number of them had died. "We should go too," Whooshing crocodile said. Baiziki and the others looked ahead. Their eyes interweaved with light. Divine light surged around their bodies as their battle chi began to rise. Safety first. Lin Tian looked at his family and friends. His voice was solemn as he said this for the third time. I know, Whooshing crocodile said. Whether we can win this war or not depends on you. What you're going to do later is more dangerous than any of us. Lord Crocodile returns the words safety first to you. Don't have any accidents. Don't worry. Lin Tian nodded. All right. Whooshing crocodile shouted and rushed out. Immediately, with a rumble, its half-step emperor-level cultivation was unleashed, and it directly took out a powerful heavenly treasure. With its half-step emperor rank cultivation, it activated a powerful heavenly treasure and directly took the lives of a large number of netherworld race cultivators. Kill, Baiziki said in a low voice as he stepped forward. In the next moment, Fanning Xiong, Yang Qi, the Black Jiao Dragon, Ling Yun, and Yi Tong all stepped forward. Lin Shi, Ji Yu, and the other two girls also charged forward. Boom! Thunder rumbled as large patches of lightning interweaved. Bolts of extreme yang and extreme yang descended, directly shattering large patches of netherworld cultivators. Buzz! On the other side, the starry sky and the bright moon interweaved. Baiqiu propped up the monarch territory and interweaved with divine power to suppress all directions. At the same time, Fanning Xiong propped up the immortal cracking mountain of the monarch territory. Shui propped up the heavenly demon body. Thousand Souls tomb of the monarch territory. Yi Tong opened the divine sun eye. Lin Shi, Ji Yu, and the others all propped up the sea of consciousness avatars. Powerful divine energies surged, and their auras surged. Divine Cry Palace, Starry Sky Moon, Immortal Cracking Mountain, Thousand Souls Tomb, Divine Sun Eye, True Dragon Bloodline, various sea of consciousness avatars, Immortal Quartz Group, their auras. Even a boundary emperor can't withstand a few moves from them. They haven't become emperors, but they are definitely invincible under the emperor realm. The patriarchs of the various large sects were shocked. At this moment, the combat strength of Baiziki and the others shocked the patriarchs of the various large sections. They were too powerful. Blood continued to explode. With Lin Tian as the leader, the large sects of the ninth heaven had prepared for a full year. At this time, facing the first netherworld cultivators, the large sects had the absolute advantage, and the netherworld cultivators died, tragically one after another. You have been guarding here since the beginning? Did you know that my netherworld race would kill our way into this world from this place? The purple-robed netherworld race, Celestial Venerable, was at the bottom of the battle with the Violet Fairy. At this time, his eyes became cold. The Violet Fairy snorted coldly and didn't say much. As soon as the Void God's slaying light was released, all things withered, and the purple-robed Celestial Venerable was almost cut in half. The purple-robed netherworld Celestial Venerable's eyes became even colder. He glanced at the million cultivators of his race who rushed out first and said gloomily, "Don't be complacent. This is just a drop in the ocean of our race's forces. They're just the vanguard. Your world can't withstand the true power of our race. You can only fall." Boom! The blue divine light around his body surged, and his celestial venerable aura became denser. His murderous aura became even more terrifying. Then, almost in the next moment, the 200-meter-long void crack that opened from the sealed dust ancient region to the crimson earth plane extended again, becoming a full 300-meter-wide netherworld race cultivators rushed out from behind. Their auras were extremely powerful, and there were even a dozen powerful emperors among them. Their emperor chi was terrifying. Kill! These netherworld cultivators rushed in with shocking murderous aura. An emperor-level netherworld race expert made his move. Under the pressure of his emperor aura, a large number of cultivators of the ninth heaven died tragically. "Let's go too!" Purple Scorpion Old Ancestor shouted and directly stepped out. With his ninth heaven emperor cultivation base, he enveloped a netherworld emperor. This netherworld emperor, was at the third heaven of the Emperor realm. When he was suppressed by Purple Scorpion Old Ancestor, he was immediately shocked. "You die." Purple Scorpion Old Ancestor's voice was cold. He directly executed one of the Purple Scorpion's sacred ground's inherited great divine abilities and mercilessly attacked. With a puff, this third heaven emperor of the Netherworld race naturally couldn't stop the ninth heaven emperor Purple Scorpion Old Ancestor. The Netherworld Emperor's body was instantly crushed by Purple Scorpion Old Ancestor's great divine ability. Then his divine soul was also shattered. Both his body and soul were destroyed. "Kill!" The legendary saber Pavilion Old Ancestor's voice was cold. At this moment, he also made his move. An unparalleled saber light enveloped a Netherworld Emperor. "Ah!" This Netherworld Emperor screamed miserably as he was killed by a single slash. He couldn't block it at all, because he was only at the second heaven of the Emperor realm, compared to the ninth heaven of the legendary Saber Pavilion Old Ancestor. He was too weak. Moreover, the legendary Saber Pavilion Old Ancestor had executed a powerful Emperor-level killing technique. That slash was enough to kill a fifth heaven of the Emperor realm expert. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The Purple Scorpion Sacred Ground and Legendary Saber Pavilion's Emperor-level Supreme Elders, as well as the Demon King Palace's two Emperor-level Supreme Elders, also moved at this moment. Each of them enveloped a Netherworld Race Emperor with a killing light and directly launched a merciless attack. The Netherworld race was still at a disadvantage. All of this was because Lin Tian had informed all the great sects of the Netherworld race's invasion a year ago. All of the great sects had made various preparations and grasped the opportunity to fight. Therefore, in this initial battle, the Netherworld race's cultivators that charged in at the beginning couldn't stop them at all. Dong! On the Crimson Earth plains, a loud noise echoed. Behind the 300-foot wide spatial door that had opened from the sealed, dust ancient region, the sound of footsteps echoed like thunder. Soon after, a figure about 10 feet tall stepped out. This figure wore black battle armor. His eyes were deep, as if he had seen through the vicissitudes of the world. His aura was incomparably terrifying. Lin Tian's eyes intertwined with golden light as the second Netherworld race, Heavenly Venerable, stepped out. The insignificant races of this world have begun to resist so soon? As an inferior race, your battle strength is not bad. Heavenly Venerable Netherworld's voice was indifferent. He stepped out from the sealed, dust ancient region with a cold arrogance. Another Heavenly Venerable, Purple Seal Old Ancestor, and the others were shocked. Heavenly Venerable Netherworld's cultivation base was at the fourth stage Heavenly Venerable realm. He glanced at the purple-robed Netherworld race, Heavenly Venerable, who was fighting with the Violet Fairy not far away. His eyes narrowed slightly. Then he turned his head and looked at the other cultivators. "All of you ants disappear." As he spoke, a dark blue Heavenly Venerable level divine energy surged, and a large area of dark blue light intertwined, shrouding the cultivators of the great sects of the ninth heaven. It was very terrifying. At this moment, with a loud bang, the six-colored divine light soared into the sky, directly crushing all the dark blue light. On Lin Tian's shoulder, the little Taichu rose into the air. The wings on its back flapped, and the six-colored divine light, once again, turned into a monstrous six-colored storm. In an instant, the black-armored Netherworld race, Heavenly Venerable, was enveloped and sent flying. This is the little beast beside the Celestial Emperor, a Heavenly Venerable level existence of the Celestial Court. The eyes of the legendary Saber Pavilion experts lit up. "Let's kill!" The legendary Saber Pavilion Old Ancestor shouted. Millions of Netherworld race experts had rushed over, including more than a dozen emperors. Their battle was not easy. Boom! 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 Tyrannical divine energy intertwined in this plane. The earth collapsed inch by inch, and the void shattered into pieces. Lin Tian's eyes were intertwined with light as he silently watched the battle here. Then, at the next moment, he looked at the void portal that had expanded to 300 feet from the sealed dust ancient region. Behind it, more Netherworld auras were rushing over. Whoosh! 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 Almost at the next moment when he looked at the void portal, the netherworld race cultivators rushed out one after another. In the blink of an eye, the number of netherworld race cultivators had reached nearly 10 million. The red earth plane was almost overrun. Moreover, among them, there were netherworld race ancestral kings who were infinitely close to the celestial realm. Each of them had a tyrannical aura that was daunting. In an instant, the netherworld aura unique to the netherworld race spread across the plane, shocking the cultivators of the ninth heaven. Among the nearly 10 million netherworld race cultivators, there were more than a dozen powerhouses infinitely close to the celestial realm. Their strength was too terrifying. Under this world, there are 8 other heavens. According to the orders of the old ancestors, we will attack from the 9 heavens together, slaughter the human race, and unify the 10 heavens. A netherworld race ancestral king who was infinitely close to the celestial realm said coldly. Then, in the next moment, 8 other netherworld race ancestral kings who were infinitely close to the celestial realm took action. They tore apart the heavens barrier and led a large number of netherworld race cultivators directly from the red earth plane to the 8 heavens below. Chapter 1298. Lin Tian stood at the edge of the crimson earth plane, watching the 8 netherworld ancestral kings, who were infinitely close to the heavenly venerable realm, lead a group of netherworld race cultivators into the lower 8 heavens. He twitched his finger, wanting to take action, but in the end, he did not. He stood here because he needed to conserve enough essence and divine power, because there was something more important to do later. That was something that would truly affect the direction of this battle. Moreover, the lower levels of the heavens had already made preparations for all kinds of battles under his instructions. At this time, he did not need to worry too much. The real focus was here, on the things that would happen later. Kill! 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 On the crimson earth plane, battle cries shook the heavens. The cultivators of the various great sects were charging forward, using all kinds of divine powers and secret techniques. Because of Lin Tian, the great sects had seized the initiative of the battle and firmly suppressed the netherworld race cultivators who had just charged in. However, as more and more netherworld race cultivators charged in, the situation gradually began to change. Human ants, all of you should be killed. Die! Our netherworld race will unify the 10 heavens and look down on the world. The netherworld race experts said coldly. At this time, more than 10 million netherworld race cultivators had crossed over from the sealed dust ancient region. The blue netherworld chi was vast and mighty on the crimson earth plane. Subsequently, ordinary emperor-level netherworld race experts tore through the void and led groups of netherworld race cultivators out of the crimson earth plane, charging toward the eastern, southern, and northern regions, as well as other places in the western regions. Lin Tian stood at the edge of the crimson earth plane, watching all of this silently, still not taking action. In this region, there were great sects in the eastern, western, southern, and northern regions. Under his instructions, they had already prepared for battle. Moreover, 3 days ago, a group of immortal court, immortal soldiers and generals had also charged to the various regions of the 4 regions, led by quasi-emperors, ready for battle at any time. Most importantly, the immortal court experts in the 4 regions all had the eternal killing formation platform that he had engraved. By relying on this killing formation platform, even a 9th heaven emperor could be killed. Boom! On the crimson earth plane, divine power surged. The battle became more intense, shaking the heavens, and the earth was sinking inch by inch. Puff! Puff! Pooh! Bloody mists exploded one after another. In this place, blood almost flowed into a river. Boom! Thunder rumbled as Zeki charged into the army of the underworld. The power of the divine roar palace was incomparably tyrannical, crushing a large number of underworld cultivators. The thunder god physique of the 8th heaven of the Nirvana realm was undoubtedly very powerful. Once Wang Yu displayed the most basic thunder power of the divine cry hall, he easily killed the quasi-emperors of the netherworld race. Buzz! Starlight sprinkled down, and a full moon hung in the sky. The thick aura of Een interweaved, bringing with it a divine aura that swept across the battlefield. Pooh! 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 Hordes of netherworld race cultivators exploded. Among them were 3 quasi-emperor-level cultivators. They could not stop the lunar royal domain at all. At the same time, on this battlefield, Fan Ingxiong and the others' king's region were pulled apart, suppressing all directions. Lin Shi, Jiyu, and the other sea of consciousness avatars interweaved and were extremely powerful. The netherworld realm experts fell one after another in their hands. So strong. As expected of the friends of the immortal emperor, kill. The experts of the various large sects roared, their battle spirits boiling. Lin Tian did not make a move. He silently watched the entire battlefield, watching the battle between Lin Shi, Jiyu, and Bai Ziki and the others. Then his gaze shifted and looked in 2 other directions. The Violet Fairy and the Little Taichu each blocked a heavenly venerable level expert of the netherworld race. At this time, they had already fought to the top of the sky and were at the top. Kill. The red earth plains were dyed red with blood. The battle cries grew louder and louder, shaking the sky and earth. In the blink of an eye, the corpses piled up into a small mountain, and the blood converged into a river. Boom! An astonishing sound suddenly rang out. On the scarlet earth plane, the spatial crack that had been opened from the sealed dust ancient region to here began to extend again at this moment. From the previous size of 300 feet, it directly expanded to 500 feet. Billowing netherworld energy surged out from behind the void crack. In the next moment, 9 terrifying auras surged out, as if 9 ancient beasts were about to wake up from their slumber. The fluctuations shook the entire world. At the edge of the red earth plains, Lin Tian looked at the void crack that was 500 feet wide. 2 cold lights flashed in his eyes. They're here. Golden divine light gradually appeared outside his body. Boom! Behind the void crack that was 500 feet wide, it seemed as if an ancient giant was walking. The sound was like thunder. In an instant, even more terrifying netherworld energy surged out. It was shocking. This is heavenly venerable level auras. There are 9 of them together. They're much more terrifying than the 2 who rushed out at the beginning. The bodies of the various large sects patriarchs trembled. They had long known that the netherworld race would send 11 heavenly venerable level existences to attack this time. However, at this time, after the first 2 heavenly venerables rushed out, 9 more heavenly venerable level auras came from the sealed dust ancient region. They were still shocked. After all, they were heavenly venerable level experts. Boom! Golden divine light surged into the sky, and the Emperor's aura surged. At the edge of the red earth plains, Lin Tian began to release his Emperor's aura, and the reincarnation chi was vast and mighty. At this moment, he burst out with his peak Emperor's power, and the reincarnation origin aura surged out, intertwining with heaven and earth. As soon as this aura appeared, everyone on the red earth plains was shocked. Immortal Emperor, is this the reincarnation body's origin aura? So powerful, so vast. This, the ancestral patriarch of the Saber Pavilion, and the others looked at the edge of the red earth plains, and their eyes flickered. All of them knew that Lin Tian was a body of samsara, yet it was the first time they'd seen Lin Tian emanate the quintessence aura of a body of samsara like this. This aura was too vast and ancient, and it was like a real river of stars had descended from the starry sky, and it was terrifying and shocking. At the same time, Whooshing Crocodile by Ziki, Yangqi, Lingyun, Linshi, Jiyu, and the others all turned to look. "We're counting on you," Whooshing Crocodile murmured to himself. In the next moment, he burst out with an even stronger aura, and the great 5 elements art was fully displayed. "Kill!" Fan Ingxiong roared. With a rumble, the immortal cracking mountain of the king's territory shook, crushing the netherworld race cultivators and killing a netherworld quasi-emperor. Lin Tian released the reincarnation origin aura and the peak emperor's power, shaking the sky. This is the person that the ancestral patriarchs issued the highest order to capture alive. This aura, many netherworld race experts were shocked. They had been fiercely resisted and attacked by the major sects when they charged in, so they didn't notice Lin Tian at first. They only saw Lin Tian when he released the tyrannical emperor's power at this time. The netherworld race experts were terrified, and even the netherworld race ancestral kings who were infinitely close to the heavenly venerable level felt a wave of panic. This emperor's power was too terrifying, as if he could crush them with a raise of his hand. Human reincarnation physique. The two netherworld race heavenly venerables who rushed over first stared at Lin Tian with dazzling light in their eyes. Among them, the purple-robed heavenly venerable who rushed out first had already seen Lin Tian in the sealed dust ancient region and knew that Lin Tian was a reincarnation physique. He then told this to the other heavenly venerables of this lineage, and everyone knew that there was a reincarnation physique in this world. This time, they came here not only to unify the world, but also to suppress the reincarnation physique and obtain the reincarnation origin. This was the most powerful and mysterious physique in the legends, and its origin was too tempting. Boom! On the Crimson Earth plane, an even more terrifying netherworld aura rushed out from the 500-foot-wide crack in the void. Behind the spatial rift, the netherworld race powerhouses who were crossing to the other side clearly sensed the reincarnation avatar's origin aura released by Lin Tian. The netherworld chi gushed out at an even faster speed, and the aura of a celestial venerate rolled over. In the blink of an eye, 9 tall figures stepped out from the crack in the void. 9 heavenly venerable auras were extremely frightening. The ancestral patriarch of the Saber Pavilion and the others gritted their teeth, and their expressions were ugly. The aura of these 9 people was much stronger than the 2 netherworld race heavenly venerables who rushed out first. Ancestors, the netherworld race cultivators roared. They were all excited, and their battle auras surged. At the same time, on the other 2 battlefields in the sky, the purple-robed heavenly venerable and the black-armored heavenly venerable looked at the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables who rushed out. Don't worry about anything else. Suppress the reincarnation physique first. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables who came from the sealed dust ancient region looked at the purple-robed heavenly venerable and the black-armored heavenly venerable. They looked at the little Taichu and the violet fairy, and 2 strange lights flashed in their eyes. Then, they tilted their heads and looked at Lin Tian. They had naturally sensed Lin Tian's reincarnation physique aura long ago. Their main purpose in coming from the sealed dust ancient region was to suppress Lin Tian, who was a reincarnation physique, and seize the legendary reincarnation origin. Divine lights intertwined in their eyes as they stared at Lin Tian. In the next moment, they all moved. They ignored everyone else on the battlefield and stepped toward Lin Tian. Ka! 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 As they moved, the void in this place collapsed and exploded. Even the spatial turbulence was annihilated. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables pressed toward Lin Tian together. Lin Tian stood at the edge of the Crimson Earth plane. Golden divine light surged around his body as he looked at the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables pressing toward him. He was not afraid at all. The golden divine light around his body became denser, and the reincarnation emperor's aura surged, shaking the sky violently. He glanced at the battlefield one last time and immediately retreated. He stepped on the 9th level of the yin-yang steps and turned into a beam of golden divine light, leaving the Crimson Earth plane and rushing into the distance. An old drunkard was nowhere to be found, and Wu Yi was in the most important stage of closed-door cultivation. These 2 peerless forces could not fight. Their battle strength was much weaker than the netherworld races. After all, the netherworld race had sent a total of 11 heavenly venerables. If all 11 heavenly venerables attacked together, they would absolutely not be able to stop them. Under such circumstances, The only way to win this battle was to reduce the number of Netherworld race heavenly venerables. Only then would they have a chance of winning. Therefore, at this time, he used his reincarnation origin as bait to lure away the 9 Netherworld race heavenly venerables. He wanted to eliminate all 9 of them. Only then could they win. To read the latest novel, please visit Chapter 1299. Lin Tian was very fast. He unleashed his Emperor's aura as he stepped on the 9th level of the Yin-Yang steps and left the red earth plains in the blink of an eye. The 9 Netherworld race heavenly venerables' eyes were deep and cold as they chased after Lin Tian with a mighty aura. The 9 heavenly venerables pressed forward together. Ka, ka, ka. As the 9 heavenly venerables moved, the void shattered, unable to stop their aura. At this time, they only had eyes for Lin Tian because their main purpose of coming here was to suppress Lin Tian. Suppressing Lin Tian and seizing the reincarnation origin was more important than anything else. In the blink of an eye, the 9 Netherworld race heavenly venerables had chased after Lin Tian for a long time. Those 9 people all left. The immortal emperor. He led away 9 Netherworld race heavenly venerables alone. This, on the red earth plains, the ancestral patriarch of the Saber Pavilion and the others trembled. They knew that Lin Tian was very powerful and could kill people who were infinitely close to the heavenly venerables level. However, compared to a true heavenly venerate, he was far too weak. Now, he had led away 9 Netherworld race heavenly venerables alone. It was equivalent to him resisting more than 90% of the Netherworld race's combat strength. He could be suppressed and killed at any time. Kill! Ancestral Patriarch Purple Totem gritted his teeth and roared. The Emperor Qi outside his body skyrocketed. At this time, they could not help Lin Tian because they could not. Although their cultivation was higher than Lin Tian's, their combat strength was far inferior to Lin Tian's. Even if they caught up, they would not be of any help. They would only be a burden. At this time, they could only pray that Lin Tian did not die. They could only use their Emperor Qi and do their best to kill the Netherworld race heavenly venerables. The immortal emperor will be fine. Let's kill. Let's kill this group of foreign tribes who are trying to encroach on our territory. An ancestor of a great sect shouted. At this moment, Lin Tian had single-handedly lured away 9 celestial venerables from the Netherworld race. He had single-handedly carried 90% of the Netherworld race's combat strength onto his shoulders. This caused the cultivators from the various great sects to be shocked. This action caused their hearts to tremble. This was truly using his own life to fight for this world. This was a great benevolence. It was righteousness. Kill! 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 The great sect's ancestors roared. Divine force surged, battle intent erupting. Lord Immortal Emperor can pacify everything. Kill. Wait for the return of the Immortal Emperor. Fight. The immortal soldiers and generals of the immortal court roared. Their divine force surged, and at this moment, they all displayed their emperor-level abilities. In the blink of an eye, the Netherworld race cultivators in this place were blasted into pieces. In fact, Lin Tian's group was definitely going to die under normal circumstances. However, the disciples of the Immortal Court did not expect that Lin Tian would die in this place. They believed in Lin Tian and Lin Tian. They unconditionally believed that Lin Tian could suppress everything because he was the master of the Immortal Court. Boom! Waves of terrifying divine force vibrated and interweaved in all directions. Brat, it's all up to you. The whooshing crocodile looked at the direction Lin Tian left and muttered to itself. The demonic light in its eyes was very strong. Then, in the next moment, it roared and displayed the great 5 elements art again. The heavenly treasure bombarded and turned into a vicious crocodile, reaping the lives of the Netherworld race cultivators one after another. Blood kept exploding under its hands. Baiziki and the others watched as Lin Tian led the 9 Netherworld race heavenly venerables away. There was worry in their eyes, but more than that, there was a divine light. Their battle intent surged like a volcano, shaking all directions. Roars! The black flood dragon roared. The demonic light shone brightly and tore a netherworld race boundary emperor apart. Divine light interweaved outside of Lin Shi, Ji Yu, and the others. The medicine cannon's magical arts were fully displayed. The heavenly treasure Lin Tian gave them also vibrated, sprinkling the sky full of killing light on this red plain, shattering everything. Boom! Boom! Above the firmament, the divine force of the heavenly venerables surged. The entire space here was shaking. The reincarnation body, the origin of reincarnation, will eventually belong to our race. Our race will start a prosperous era. The purple-robed heavenly venerables netherworld sneered as he watched the other 9 heavenly venerables of his lineage chase after Lin Tian. Clang! Purple divine light surged and turned into a Dao sword that slashed over. Believe me, you will all die. The violet fairy's voice was calm. Purple divine light interweaved outside her body. The great void god, slaying Dao, cut through all the techniques in the world and sent the purple-robed heavenly venerables flying with a bang. Boom! On the other side, the 6-colored divine light vibrated. The little Taichu flapped its wings and firmly suppressed the black-armored heavenly venerable's netherworld. Kill! 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 Shouts of killing shook all directions. On the red plain, blood became the only thing, and bones continued to accumulate on the ground. Lin Tian left the red plain. At this time, he had already crossed a long distance. The golden divine light outside his body was extremely dazzling. He rushed toward the eastern region of the 9th heaven at the fastest speed. Humph! A cold snort came from behind. The 9 heavenly venerables of the Netherworld clan chased side by side, each of their eyes cold and indifferent. At this time, in the eyes of the 9 people, Lin Tian wasn't a human, but a great fortune. The reincarnation source was the greatest divine treasure, the greatest immortal opportunity, and the greatest fortune. Buzz! One of them made a move. A giant netherworld hand stretched out, covering all directions, and grabbed towards Lin Tian. This wasn't a secret technique, just a simple palm strike, but it was still extremely terrifying. This was because the person who made the move was an Empyrean-level powerhouse. Although he was still in the Emperor realm, he was far from being comparable to an ordinary emperor. Lin Tian was at the 7th layer of the Emperor realm. He could kill people infinitely close to the Empyrean realm without any effort. However, when facing the attack of an Empyrean powerhouse, he felt a chill run down his spine. He felt that it was difficult to resist. He didn't have the slightest carelessness. While flying, he summoned the 5th layer of the 4-symbol seal to block behind him. When the 5th layer of the 4 symbols Dao diagram combined, a tyrannical sealing force surged, annihilating even the air. However, when the 5th layer of the 4 symbols Dao diagram met the giant palm of the netherworld heavenly venerate, it was shattered on the spot. Violent astral winds interweaved and spread in all directions, but the other party's giant palm was still pressing down. Bang! Before the giant palm of the netherworld heavenly venerate could get close, just the astral winds swept past and sent Lin Tian flying on the spot. Cough! Lin Tian coughed up blood, only feeling pain in his body. However, even so, his expression didn't change. He slashed the towering heaven sword aura behind him and continued to rush into the distance. He stepped on the 9th layer of the yin-yang steps and moved extremely fast, avoiding the palm of the netherworld heavenly venerate. The netherworld heavenly venerate who attacked was at the 4th stage of the netherworld realm. He directly shattered the towering heaven sword aura and chased after him with the other 8 people. His speed is not bad, not much worse than our peak speed, this person said coldly. Chase! Beside him, another netherworld heavenly venerate spoke. The netherworld light intertwined around the bodies of the 9 of them, and with a casual step, they could travel extremely far away, with endless Dao light surrounding them. In the blink of an eye, Lin Tian was caught up again, and another netherworld heavenly venerate made a move and grabbed at Lin Tian. They wanted to seize the reincarnation origin perfectly, so they needed to suppress Lin Tian alive. Buzz! The void trembled. At this moment, the netherworld heavenly venerate who attacked was at the 5th stage of the heavenly venerate. As his large hand reached out, the boundless Tao light rolled together and turned into a wave that pressed towards Lin Tian. Lin Tian didn't need to look back to feel how terrifying this method was. His internal organs became cold, and even his ability to move was restricted. The void in all directions was gradually solidifying. He shouted in his heart, and the Sun Heart Sutra circulated even more vigorously. The dazzling golden divine light surged, and the reincarnation emperor's power was directly raised to the peak. Then, in the next moment, he propped up the reincarnation diagram of the monarch territory and faced the attack. Boom! The reincarnation diagram was extremely powerful and majestic. In the blink of an eye, it collided with the large hand of the 5th stage heavenly venerate netherworld powerhouse. Dazzling divine light surged, and the reincarnation diagram trembled, erupting with divine light that was many times stronger than the previous 5-layered Tao diagram of the 4 symbols. It blocked the large hand that the netherworld powerhouse casually reached out. However, it was very short, and it only blocked for about a breath's time. The reincarnation diagram let out a crisp crack and shattered on the spot. Lin Tian suffered a backlash and coughed out another mouthful of blood. His face turned paler. However, he didn't stop or look back. He continued to fly towards the distant sky at an even faster speed. The netherworld heavenly venerate's eyes narrowed slightly, and 2 rays of light flashed across them. He's only at the 7th stage of the Emperor realm, but the divine art he used can actually block my attack for a breath's time. That person muttered to himself. After all, he's a reincarnation body. He's extraordinary. Another person said. The 9 people's expressions were indifferent as they chased after Lin Tian again. Not long after, Lin Tian was caught again. This time, a total of 5 of the 9 netherworld heavenly venerates attacked together. With a crack, the space around them shattered on the spot. Lin Tian spat out blood, but his eyes didn't change at all. He moved quickly while activating the Great Tao Reincarnation Diagram. As soon as the Great Tao Reincarnation Diagram appeared, it was enlarged countless times and faced the 5 netherworld heavenly venerates. Boom! The void and earth trembled, and the Great Tao Reincarnation Diagram shattered in the blink of an eye. Lin Tian coughed out blood, and half of his body was shattered on the spot. However, his expression didn't change. He used the Sun Nirvana technique to protect himself, and with the rebound force of the Great Tao Reincarnation Diagram's explosion, he pulled away from the 9 heavenly venerates in the blink of an eye. The eyes of the 9 netherworld heavenly venerates were deep, and they were all expressionless. They chased after Lin Tian again. Where do you want to lead us to? One of them spoke, his voice indifferent. The other 8 netherworld heavenly venerates were surrounded by the netherworld light. They didn't show any emotion, as if they were the gods of the underworld walking between heaven and earth. They weren't ordinary people, so they could naturally see that Lin Tian was deliberately leading them to a certain place. Lin Tian didn't say anything. His speed became faster, and in a flash, he was tens of thousands of feet away. The eyes of the 9 netherworld heavenly venerates were deep, and their expressions were indifferent. No matter what you do, you can't avoid the fate of being suppressed today. The leader, who was at the 8th level of the heavenly venerate, chased after him while surrounded by the netherworld light. They could see that Lin Tian was deliberately leading them to a certain place, but they didn't care at all. They didn't have any scruples, and they all had indifferent expressions on their faces. This was because the 9 of them were all celestial venerates. When 9 celestial venerates worked together, they could defeat everything. What in this world could threaten them? P.S. The 3rd update should be around 2300 hours at night. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 1300. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables were expressionless, and their eyes were cold. Even though they knew that Lin Tian was deliberately leading them to a certain place, they didn't care at all because each of them had peerless power. Now that the 9 of them were together, they weren't afraid of anything in this world and didn't think that there was anything in this world that could threaten them. Why struggle? One of them looked at Lin Tiandao with a cold expression. He raised his right hand slightly, and a large amount of heavenly venerable level divine power pressed down. Lin Tian propped up the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory and shielded it behind his back while he quickly rushed into the distance. He didn't turn back to look at the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables who were chasing after him and simply rushed to the east region as fast as he could. From the beginning, he knew that the 9 of them would definitely be able to see through him, leading them away from the Red Earth Plains all the way to the East region. However, he still did so because there were 2 reasons why he didn't hesitate to do so. The first reason was that the 9 netherworld heavenly venerables would be conceited because they were too powerful, so much so that they wouldn't care even if they knew that he was deliberately leading them to a certain place. The second reason was that in order to seize his reincarnation origin, they had no other choice but to chase after him until they could suppress him and seize his reincarnation origin. Now, it was indeed as he had thought. Although the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerable level powerhouses had seen through him, they still chased after him without hesitation. Buzz! Outside his body, the golden divine light became denser, and the Sun Heart Sutra circulated even more vigorously. He also executed the yin-yang steps faster. With a whoosh, the void seemed to have been cut open. In a flash, he was about hundreds of thousands of feet away as if he was teleporting. "Your speed is pretty good," one of the netherworld heavenly venerables said. The 9 of them all had cold gazes, and they sped up a little as they chased after Lin Tian. At the same time, 6 of them attacked together. Their heavenly venerable level divine power trembled and pressed down on Lin Tian. In an instant, the space in all directions collapsed and terrifying fluctuations vibrated. Lin Tian summoned the great Tao reincarnation diagram and threw it behind him without looking back while he rushed to the east region at an even faster speed. Boom! The reincarnation diagram of the Great Path collided with the divine power of the 6 netherworld race, celestial venerables, and was shattered on the spot. Lin Tian was shaken and coughed up blood on the spot. His reincarnation monarch body was covered with cracks. However, his expression didn't change in the slightest. He increased his speed, leaving behind afterimages with each step he took. The 9 netherworld race, celestial venerables, moved forward like 9 gods of the underworld. Each step covered hundreds of thousands of feet as they steadily chased after Lin Tian. No matter what you do, it's useless. Don't make any more meaningless struggles. The leading 8-stage Empyrean netherworld race powerhouse spoke again, his voice cold and detached. Lin Tianyi didn't say a word. Using the duality steps, he rushed into the distance like lightning. The 9 netherworld race, heavenly venerables, snorted and began to increase their speed. Whoosh! 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 The sound of something breaking through the air reverberated through the vast sky. Lin Tian and the 9 celestial venerables of Hades transformed into 10 streaks of light as they moved, one in front and one behind. At the same time, the 9 celestial venerables of the netherworld race would attack from time to time. They would shoot out beams of divine light and seal the world. Cough! Lin Tian coughed up blood again and again. He didn't fight with the 9 celestial venerables. Most of his strength was used to increase his speed. In the blink of an eye, 4 hours passed. Lin Tian's body was covered in blood. During these 4 hours, he rushed to the eastern region at full speed. He tore through the void several times and was attacked several times by the 9 netherworld race, heavenly venerables. His reincarnation emperor body had been shattered several times. At this moment, he appeared in a large mountain in the eastern region. The spiritual energy in this large mountain was extraordinary. Ancient trees were everywhere. As far as the eye could see, one could see a pit in the distance. This pit was about 50 to 60 feet in size. It was very ordinary and didn't have the slightest bit of attention. Lin Tian's face was very pale at this time. He had lured the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables here. His emperor body had been shattered several times, and he had used up too much of his blood, energy, and divine power. He was about to run out. However, at this time, as he looked at the pit in the distance, a sharp light emerged in his eyes. He had finally lured the 9 celestial venerables here. His body was covered in blood. Using the 9th stage of the duality steps, he increased his speed again and rushed over. In the blink of an eye, he had rushed to 50 feet away from the pit. Human, that's about enough. I've already said that your struggle is meaningless. It's all in vain. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables chased after Lin Tian until they were 90 feet behind him. At this moment, they raised their hands at the same time. Interweaving Tao light grabbed at Lin Tian, immediately sealing off all of Lin Tian's escape routes. The leader's voice was cold and indifferent. It's time to obediently accept your head. Buzz! 9 large hands pulled the great Tao in all directions, covering everyone. Lin Tianji felt that his soul was about to shatter. His spirit trembled violently, and his entire person seemed to be wrapped in endless darkness. However, at this time he smiled. It's about time. His smile was a little cold. He turned back to look at the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables. He didn't care about the 9 large hands that were pressing down on him at all. He quickly raised his hands and formed a seal. With a buzz, formation runes appeared in the void and on the ground within a radius of several feet around the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables. They immediately emitted brilliant light. This is sealing formation runes and teleportation formation runes. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables narrowed their eyes. Then in the next moment a light flashed. Under Lin Tian's mind, the 9 of them disappeared at the same time. Then, in the next moment, the 9 of them appeared again and were all thrown into the unassuming pit. Human, what are you thinking? You deliberately led us here and then sent us to this pit with a hidden teleportation formation. Are you toying with us? The 9 of them stood in the pit and looked coldly at Lin Tian. Lin Tian was 50 feet away from the pit, but at this time, he clearly felt an extremely terrifying danger approaching. It made him feel cold all over in an instant. It was as if an invisible scythe of the Grim Reaper was slashing at his neck. At this moment, he did not say anything superfluous. He used the yin-yang steps to the limit and left as fast as he could. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables looked cold and emotionless. However, in the next moment, the 9 of them trembled together. Cold sweat suddenly dripped down their foreheads. They looked at the pit in horror and looked to the bottom. The leading netherworld race heavenly venerables trembled. Go! Leave this! Boom! A terrifying aura rushed up from the bottom of the pit, instantly interrupting the man's words. In an instant, rolling black light rushed out as if it had really emerged from hell. It immediately shrouded the entire area, causing the endless clouds in the sky to shatter in an instant. Even the air was annihilated. Black holes appeared one after another. An endless black light enveloped the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables in the blink of an eye. Ah! Miserable screams instantly rang out. The 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables were enveloped in it. One of them was crushed on the spot, and blood splattered in all directions. At this time, Lin Tian had already retreated a full 1,000 feet away. When he saw this scene, he could not help but tremble. As far as the eye could see, the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables were struggling in the pit. They were shrouded in endless black light, and in the blink of an eye, they were all badly mutilated. Boom! Rolling black light rushed up from the pit and enveloped the 9 netherworld race heavenly venerables, causing them to tremble. At this moment, they felt an unparalleled power. Being enveloped by this power, their souls were rapidly cracking, and their flesh was breaking apart bit by bit. Damn human! How dare you trick us? One of them roared. Previously, they thought this pit looked ordinary because they could not feel the slightest bit of special aura from this pit. They thought that Lin Tian had used a hidden transmission array to send them to this pit to play with them. But now, their hearts were trembling. How was this an ordinary pit? This was simply a terrifying, life-threatening sinkhole. Charge out! A netherworld race, heavenly venerables roared. At this moment, the 9 netherworld race, heavenly venerables bodies shone brightly. Their heavenly venerables' divine power surged as they rushed out with all their might. However, the black light that rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole was too terrifying. It was as if it rushed out from the underworld of death. It crushed pieces of space and dyed the sky black. Numerous tiny black holes appeared in the void and devoured everything. Damn it! Break for me! The 9 of them roared and went all out. All kinds of terrifying, great magical powers were displayed without hesitation. Tao lights surged, terrifying and peerless. The attacks caused everything to collapse, and this world seemed to be on the verge of shattering. Lin Tian looked at the 9 of them from afar, and a chill ran down his spine. Heavenly venerables were indeed terrifying. This kind of power was too strong. Can this sky pit trap them? He was a little worried. However, the worry in his heart soon disappeared. The black light that rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole became even more terrifying. No matter how the 9 netherworld race, heavenly venerable rank powerhouses resisted, it was useless. All the divine abilities and secret techniques they used were annihilated. Chi! 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 Fist-sized black holes spread out in all directions, swallowing everything. At this moment, all the air was annihilated. The space within a radius of 10,000 feet became pitch black. Damn it! The 9 netherworld race, heavenly venerables were shocked and furious. The size of the pit was not large, only about 50 to 60 feet, but the black light rushing out from it was too terrifying. It enveloped them as if it had its own consciousness. Their methods were useless, and they couldn't step out at all. There was a terrifying force crushing them, pulling them to the bottom of the pit. The 9 of them fought desperately, each bringing out their strongest combat power. More powerful magical powers surged in all directions. Unfortunately, it was still useless. No! A mournful scream rang out. One of them was wrapped in the black light and dragged to the bottom of the pit. In the blink of an eye, he was swallowed by the endless darkness. This scream was mixed with endless fear, as if he had seen the most terrifying thing in the world. In an instant, it spread throughout the entire 9th heaven and spread to the red earth plain at the border of the western region, shocking all the cultivators there. Everyone turned their heads and looked in the direction of the eastern region where the scream came from. Everyone could feel the fear from this scream. It was too strong. This is the voice of 9th brother. 9th brother's aura disappeared. The purple-robed heavenly venerable netherworld and the black-armored heavenly venerable netherworld both changed their expressions. To read the latest novel, please visit the website. Chapter 1301. On the red earth plain, the purple-robed and black-armored Nether Empyrean changed their expressions. That scream clearly belonged to one of the 9 Nether Empyreans who chased after Lin Tian. Now, that person's aura had disappeared. What's going on? What happened? The 2 Nether Empyreans' hearts skipped a beat. At the same time, the purple brand Old Ancestor and the legendary Saber Pavilion Old Ancestor were shocked. They naturally recognized that the scream from the eastern region belonged to one of the 9 Nether Empyreans who chased after Lin Tian. Their eyelids twitched violently. Immortal Emperor. What did he do? The purple brand Old Ancestor's eyes flickered. 9 powerful Nether Empyreans chased after Lin Tian. Now, one of them actually let out such a miserable scream that spread throughout the entire 9th heaven. This made the purple brand Old Ancestor's body tremble. The violet fairy looked at the eastern region with purple light in her eyes, and the corner of her mouth raised into a beautiful arc, as expected of my elder brother. She smiled and muttered to herself. Yeah. The little Taichu flapped its wings, and also looked at the eastern region from afar. The 6-colored divine light circled around its body, looking divine and holy. The purple-robed and black-armored Nether Empyrean couldn't remain calm at this time. They seemed a little anxious. What the hell is going on? The two of them became uneasy. Clang! Boom! Purple divine light and six-colored divine light surged. The violet fairy and the little Taichu attacked together, drowning the two Nether Empyreans. He's just dead, the violet fairy said. Purple light surrounded her body, and the great void god's slaying light slashed down, forcing the purple-robed Nether Empyrean to retreat. The purple-robed Empyrean's face turned ugly. What a joke! That reincarnation body is only at the seventh heaven of the Emperor realm. How can it threaten an Empyrean-level character? What's more, the 9 Empyreans of my race are chasing after him together. With the 9 of them working together, they can sweep away everything. Nothing can threaten them. He scolded the violet fairy, but his heart could not help but tremble. That was because the celestial lord of their clan who had screamed out had indeed disappeared at this moment. It seemed that he had really died. The violet fairy snorted coldly. Her footsteps were light and graceful, but the great void, god-slaying light was as heavy as the Milky Way, crushing the surrounding space. Eastern region, in the barren mountains, 9th brother. The furious roar shook the barren mountain. The black light in the sky pits surged like waves. Among them, the expressions of the 8 powerful netherworld race, celestial venerables, changed greatly. They were shrouded in endless black light. They could only watch as one of them was dragged to the bottom of the crater. After a shrill scream, his aura disappeared without a trace. Clearly, he had died at the bottom of the crater. Damn it! The 8 of them roared. They were furious, but at the same time, they were terrified because at this time, their situation was very bad. The black light that rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole enveloped all of them. Even if they used all their strength, it was difficult for them to break free. Boom! At the bottom of the sinkhole, even more black lights rushed up. It was incomparably terrifying. Lin Tian looked at this scene from afar, and his heart couldn't help but beat wildly. He hurriedly retreated more than 1,000 feet away. Terrifying indeed. In such a short time, a netherworld race, celestial venerable, had already been devoured. He looked at the sinkhole and couldn't help but tremble. Ah! At the sinkhole, the 8 netherworld race, celestial venerables who were still alive roared and struggled with all their strength. At this time, one by one, they took out powerful heavenly treasures. Each heavenly treasure was at the pinnacle level and exuded an even more terrifying aura. This kind of aura was somewhat frightening and more powerful than before. However, in the face of the terrifying black light that rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole, it was useless. As the black light surged, it annihilated the light of all the heavenly treasures in the blink of an eye. Poof! A bloody mist exploded. The black light that rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole was like the murderous light of death. It surged like the waves of the vast sea and directly crushed half of the body of a 5th stage, celestial venerable from the netherworld race. Dazzling blood splattered like rain. This person roared. The celestial venerable level divine light surged and quickly healed his injured body. However, in the next moment, even more black light pressed down and directly shrouded this person, quickly pulling him to the bottom of the sinkhole. Ah! This person screamed and used all his strength to prevent himself from being dragged to the bottom of the sinkhole. However, it was useless. He couldn't block the terrifying black light that surrounded him. In the next moment, he was swallowed up by the boundless darkness. No! A voice mixed with boundless fear came from the bottom of the sinkhole. This person's aura disappeared without a trace in an instant. This kind of scream was so terrifying that Lin Tian couldn't help but shudder in the distance. What's down there? He stared at the bottomless sinkhole. This netherworld celestial venerable was obviously dead. Like the netherworld celestial venerable who had died at the beginning, after being dragged to the bottom of the sinkhole, it was as if they had seen the most terrifying thing in the world. Just listening to that kind of scream made his heart palpitate. He looked at the bottom of the sinkhole. Dazzling dragon light intertwined in his eyes. He opened the divine eyes of Delusion Breaker and looked at the bottom of the sinkhole, but it was useless. Even with his current cultivation and the divine eyes of Delusion Breaker, he couldn't see the bottom of the sinkhole. Forget it. He shook his head and no longer looked at the sinkhole. Instead, he looked at the few netherworld celestial venerables who were trapped by the sinkhole. At this time, the whole place became dark as if it was night. Only 7 of the 9 netherworld celestial venerables who were thrown into the sinkhole by him with the teleportation array were left. All of them were in a sorry state, and their bodies were stained with blood. "Damn it! Open for me!" The 7 of them roared angrily. Divine power surged, and celestial venerable netherworld energy soared, attacking the black light that covered them. However, this black light was too strong. Even with celestial venerable level power, it couldn't break it. It was so strong that it was a little scary. As the black light rushed out, small black holes appeared one after another in the surroundings. They swallowed the air, swallowed the light, and even the divine power released by the few netherworld celestial venerables was swallowed. It was as if they could swallow everything in the world. The 7 netherworld celestial venerables tried their best to resist, but they became more and more miserable. Their auras became weaker and weaker. Ah! A moment later, another scream was heard. One of them was crushed by the endless black light, and only his divine soul was left. However, in the next moment, the endless black light crushed him. He was crushed on the spot, and his body and soul were destroyed. This caused the other 6 netherworld celestial venerables to tremble. Deep fear appeared in their eyes. In just a moment, 3 of their celestial venerable level powerhouses had fallen in this sinkhole that was only 50 to 60 feet wide. "Damn it! Damn it!" The 6 of them roared. They exerted all their strength and began to work together, casting out some kind of powerful divine ability that was similar to a joint attack formation. The 6 of them each activated their divine power, propping up streaks of terrifying netherworld-killing light, shaking the surrounding space until it collapsed inch by inch. As soon as this power appeared, it temporarily isolated the black light that rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole. However, this was only for a moment. In the next moment, an even more terrifying black light rushed out from the bottom of the sinkhole like a volcano of death erupting. Ah! A 6-stage celestial venerable netherworld powerhouse let out a scream as he was crushed by this even more terrifying black light. He was destroyed on the spot. In the blink of an eye, only 5 of the 9 netherworld celestial venerables were left. All of them were stained with blood and looked battered and exhausted. Lin Tian looked at this scene from afar. The Heart Sutra of Sun and Nirvana of the Sun automatically healed his injured body and restored his divine power. Previously, in order to lure the 9 netherworld celestial venerables here, he had been attacked continuously for 4 hours. He was severely injured. Faint golden light intertwined around his body. He stood in the void and quietly looked at the sinkhole. Boom! The pitch-black light continued to surge up from the bottom of the sinkhole, dyeing the sky black, causing the entire barren mountain to become dim. Large spatial cracks were everywhere, and small black holes were floating up and down, swallowing everything. "Break! Break for me! Break!" The 5 netherworld race celestial venerables roared furiously. Each of them unleashed their full strength, unleashing one divine ability after another without any regard for their cost. At this moment, trapped in the sinkhole, the fear in the eyes of these 5 people was even stronger. Cold sweat kept flowing from their foreheads. Ah! A scream followed. Another netherworld celestial venerable was dragged into the sinkhole. His aura disappeared in the blink of an eye. Obviously, he was dead. Damn it! What is this place? The remaining 4 netherworld celestial venerables trembled in fear. The 4 of them used all their strength and bombarded the black light that covered the surroundings. They tried their best to step out of the sinkhole. However, the sinkhole, which was only 50 to 60 feet wide, seemed to be boundless at this moment. They could not step out no matter how hard they tried. The black light seemed to have its own consciousness, sealing them firmly in the sinkhole. No! Ah! Screams rang out. Two netherworld celestial venerables were crushed by the black light that rushed out from the sinkhole. Their bodies and souls were destroyed on the spot. At this point, only two of the 9 netherworld celestial venerables were left. One was at the 7th stage celestial venerable realm, and the other was at the 8th stage celestial venerable realm. They struggled bitterly in the black light. However, this kind of struggle was somewhat powerless in front of this black light. They could not block this deadly black light at all. Ah! After a dozen breaths, another scream rang out. The 7th stage celestial venerable netherworld celestial venerable was wrapped in black light and directly dragged to the bottom of the sinkhole. His aura disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lin Tian stood very far away and looked at the sinkhole. He looked at the last netherworld celestial venerable and said, "There is one left." Boom! At the bottom of the sinkhole, the rolling black light of death surged and rushed up majestically. It was as if it really had its own consciousness. It kept pressing down on the last remaining netherworld celestial venerable. This netherworld celestial venerable was at the 8th stage celestial venerable realm. He was almost at the end of the celestial venerable realm. His strength was much stronger than the 8 dead celestial venerables. At this time, his body was covered in blood. He was shocked, frightened, and angry. He roared loudly. Tao transformation. This person roared. Divine light burst out from his body. At this moment, he was truly desperate. He began to burn his life source to use some kind of terrifying forbidden technique. Even his cultivation level was dropping rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he fell from the 8th stage celestial venerable realm to the 1st stage celestial venerable realm. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.